Good evening, race fans, and welcome to another Wednesday night Freaky Fast broadcast here for the Wicked Racing League. We are here at the beautiful Alabama State Talladega Superspeedway for the Fish Hunter 250. We are here for 100 crazy laps around this massive super speedway track. It is I, Carl Pooler, up in the booth, Zach Hall right beside me, and as always, Robert Moyer Jr. in the production, always giving you the freaky fast action you deserve. And here we are, Zach. Only a couple more races until the playoffs. That cut line is getting close. What can we expect to see here at this super speedway?
Well, you could see some drivers who feel a little bit desperate maybe around that cut line, looking to maybe profit from this Talladega Super Speedway. As I would call it, the great equalizer here in the racing world here, especially stock cars. This is a place where drivers that may not compete normally for wins could put themselves in those positions to pull off those victories. So very excited to see who can do that. Maybe here tonight, maybe be a little bit of a spoiler there, push themselves late into the playoffs, but there's a lot of possibilities still out here, and that's what Talladega is an opportunity for these drivers here to go out there and solidifies their playoff positions.
Solidify and all about opportunity. Gavin Rogers in a very rare, really bad finish for him last week at Chicagoland. Finished there in 21st, 6 laps down. He went from 81 points into the lead down to 50, and just like that, you can lose a substantial chunk of that points cushion, as it were. And here at a track like Talladega, yeah, these cars have one fast repair, but the chances of having to need more than one go up significantly here at Talladega.
Yeah, they really do, Carl. It can be a dangerous place, as they would call it in racing. Anything right around the corner lurking, and this Talladega Super Speedway opens up a lot of different opportunities. And one thing I'm gonna be interested to see which line becomes dominant. Right now, we're seeing a lot of guys practicing on the lower line, holding. It looks like a solid group there. But will the upper grooves become a factor here tonight, or will that bottom line continue to be the way they go around? It'll be one of those real big signs to see here late into this race to see which one gets it done. But you got to pick the right lane, because if you're in the wrong one, you're going backwards at the end.
It's all about momentum and knowing when to put your car in that lane. It's a kind of precise game of chess at 200 miles an hour as you see these guys bobbing and weaving left and right. And there it is, some door banging, and they are spinning down the front straightaway. And this is only practice in the closing minute of practice. And this is maybe a little bit of foreshadowing of what we may see tonight here for the Wicked Racing League. But these guys know how to wheel and deal. Seeing a really awesome last-minute photo finish, really, at our previous Super Speedway Daytona earlier this year.
That we did. It was definitely one to look back to, man. And it'll be fun to see, what tonight opportunity is, because Talladega a little bit different than Daytona, where we have that start-finish line in the normal tribal spot. I think Talladega adds those more interesting opportunities because it's after pit road. It's well almost into turn one here. So a very different setup, and I think that makes Talladega a little bit different than what we would normally have at Daytona.
Well, not only just the start-finish line there in the other dogleg, but it's 16 hundredths of a mile. It equates to almost just a few hundred yards, but that extra length, that extra bit of track will also play into tire wear, the speeds, the fuel strategy. As Talladega can be a track for fuel strategy, making sure you pit at the right time with the right group. But with that, practice is wrapped up. We get ready for qualifying. Zach, in this single car qualifying, you have 2 laps. What is the best way to go about 2 laps here by yourself trying to get that top qualifying position?
It's always interesting to see what is the best preparation for that lap that you want to put down. And, some cars and some stock cars will take it on this second lap, take the full first lap to get wound up. But I think actually you're going to see some of the fastest times turn on the first lap actually by this next gen car. It gets up to speed a little bit quicker. So we might see guys attempt to run that fast lap on the very first one as those temperatures in the tires start to build up and speed starts to decrease.
And with that extra acceleration, it seems like that fifth gear, that extra gear we've been talking about, it's almost especially at these super speedways, kind of an overdrive, but it does seem to help the car get up to speed a little bit quicker. And right now we see the 45, it looks like a newcomer, Dallas Manus, going around the track, kind of keeping his high line until he gets down into the front straightaway. So obviously, already different strategies being used, starting high, cutting low, try to get that momentum, maybe going high through the tri-oval. A lot of these guys trying different things to maximize that lap time.
Yeah, you brought up the gear, fifth gear, fourth gear, kind of like an overdrive situation with fifth gear. And it's very interesting because in these qualifying sessions, you really don't even use fifth gear sometimes out here. So it really comes down to what that gearing ratio is that is in the setup. Of course, it could have been updated due to iRacing frequent updates. But, from past experience for myself, fourth gear seems to be the way to go during qualifying. But as soon as you get in that draft, those higher speeds pick up, fifth gear is necessary.
Well, also, once you get in that draft, after you get done with all the qualifying, you get in the pack, there's a lot of issues, not even issues, more talk about overheating. If you get on the throttle too long, too hard, some of these guys overheat and even blow up when they get too hot. So how do you manage that, especially when you're maybe fighting for that top 5 position or back in the pack? How do you manage not overheating the engine and blowing that early on in this race?
Yeah, it's a tough case, especially when you can get stuck down below on the bottom line and kind of get, as they would say, boxed in. And, from there, you just kind of got to duck a little bit left, a little bit right. Maybe, especially in the corners, you can get a little bit to the right of somebody to get a little bit of air in the nose of that car. Down the straightaways, maybe duck a little bit left of them. So there's a little bit of techniques you can do, or just even back up a little bit off them. Yes, you won't go as quick, but you'll be able to get more airflow the farther off the bumper you are of somebody.
And airflow is always the talk here at Talladega. You need that draft, you need that aerodynamics, and it just really is going to be interesting how they play this track, how they drive this track. Going 3 wide, there are some advantages, there are some risks as well. It's a warm day, 75 degrees air temp. The track is roughly a little over 100 degrees, and it's been falling, so it's going to be interesting to see how quick this track changes and maybe cools down or heats up, and how slick these tires get throughout the run, because the further on they go, the lighter the fuel load, the less load on the tires, and it really makes these cars want to squirm around on you.
That it really does, Carl, and we'll have to see how that all plays out once this race does get under green flag conditions. But at the moment, Blaine Wilson holding on to the top spot there in that 18 machine. We'll see if anybody else can produce a better time. But we're going to be looking at who can get that pole position to start themselves out front. Talladega, of course, a place where you can pass, but being out front will be a big helper for Blaine Wilson here if he can start out front and lead this field to the green.
And TJ Roberts, our winner from Daytona, setting down a really strong qualifying time in that second position. So TJ Roberts has his eyes on a second super speedway win, and it'll be very interesting to see. Last time he started kind of further on back in the pack instead of this top 2 position, like he may be gearing up to start in here in the next about half a minute or so. Don't see too many cars on the track right now. And as you get into get finished with qualifying, Zach, you're trying to talk to your teammates and having all your ducks in a row about strategy. With teamwork, we mentioned last week there was a 1, 2, 3, 4 for the team, and going into this week, you want to almost do better with that teamwork at this super speedway.
Yeah, 2018 racing last week with the 1, 2, 3, 4, and it was so impressive to see from them. And we talk about teamwork. This is the place to have teamwork. So we'll see how they can get it done here tonight. But as we say that, the time runs out for the clock there for qualifying, Carl, and it looks like we're going to go to our starting grid here.
And as these guys grid up, we're going to pull up our starting grid. And we mentioned Blaine Wilson, TJ Roberts taking those top 2 positions. Richard Wolsifer with a great third place start there. Jamie Plord behind him in 4th. Chad Bean in 5th. Stephen Borbell in 6th. Steve T. Cole there sitting in 7th place. Adam Buzzio in 8th. Mike Thomas in 9th. And Jimmy Kubinek, a playoff driver on the cut line, rounding out the top 10.
Ryan Harrison's going to start in the 11th position. 12th is going to go to Johnny Shade. 13th is going to be Mason Hossman. 14th is going to be Christopher Norris. 15th is going to go to Christian DeRoches. 16th is going to be Nigel Christian's last week's winner. 17th is going to be Dallas Manis, as he's the newcomer here tonight. 18th is going to be John Curtis. 19th is going to be Alex Coffey. And rounding out our 20 cars here tonight is our points leader, Gavin Rogers.
And Gavin Rogers didn't put down a qualifying time, starting at the rear of the pack, and that strategy, Zach, kind of makes me kind of question that move, because with that dip in points he saw last week, with that bad finish, yeah, he has a decent amount, but he knows that Talladega could be that wild card. Those stage points, a lot of the drivers kind of hoping to make a dent in that playoff run is trying to get these stage points, so maybe a interesting strategy call for the 17 of Gavin Rogers.
Yeah, Rogers there with the non-aggressive call there to start out back, and I think you're going to see what maybe we saw similar to what he did at Daytona. He's going to ride, I think, in the back of this pack, try to stay out of trouble, save that fast repair for that mulligan later in this race, because you never know when it comes down to racing hard at the end. You may get involved in something, so you want to have something in the back pocket to just save yourself if you're involved in an incident racing for the win. And Rogers may be thinking that here, big picture, because for him, really, he does have that big lead in the points. Yes, there's 2 stages out there available for points for himself, but also the other thing for him is he wants to build up those wins. So I think his big picture is looking for a victory.
Big picture, who knows what we're gonna see, because it is always always a mystery what Talladega will hold at 2.66 miles long. Here we are getting ready to start 100-mile race here with 3 stages. Our first stage will end at lap 25. The second stage will end at lap 50, and then a 50-lap run to the final end of the race. And the people are going to be grabbing those stage points. And as they go down the backstretch here, Zach, there's a lot of drivers that kind of can capitalize and maybe make a dent in maybe the hole that they've made in those points with this opportunity as well. Seeing some of the maybe the cut line drivers being able to start in the top 4 or top 5.
Yeah, man, this is the opportunity here for these drivers to make a big splash here tonight at Talladega, and we'll see what they can do. And man, it's gonna be fun to call this one all the way to the end. And I gotta tell you, thank you everybody out there tuning in right now. It's gonna be a fun one for myself and Carl up here, and we even got the sponsor out there in chat, Captain Dustin. Thank you guys for tuning in, and it's gonna be fun here as we go ready for this Fish Hunter Charters at Talladega 250.
250 miles, 100 laps around this track. Zach, this start is always interesting, always been curious to me. Instead of waiting for the tri-oval, the pace car is going to pull off right there as we see him take that left turn. But you have to go through that tri-oval before you can start that shot, and it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers maintain speed, how they get their runs on these restarts, because of course at these super speedways is you can get a couple of spots early on when the field is all compressed like this. It is the best way to do it sometimes. But as we are ready here, the green flag is out and we are racing here in Alabama, already getting ready side by side going into turn 1.
Like you said there, Carl, side by side down into 1. But I think it's going to be Blaine Wilson with the help of that 56 machine behind. They're going to power out to the lead. TJ Roberts, our winner from Daytona, and the outside line quickly dropping backwards as the outside line tries to form up.
And that outside line is so difficult to get started early on because the shortest way around the track is that inside line, and you just get lost in the acceleration. But we are already going 3 wide, 2 rows deep for the lead. Lap 1 going through 3, and 4, 18, the 56 in the 3, all vying for the top position there in the front row. Already 3 wide action. Looks like the 3 of TJ Roberts is going to break to the front, followed by the 19 of Borbell. But we're going to watch as the 19 dives down low to take that runaway and go to the inside of the 3.
It took less than 2.66 miles for these guys to get 3 wide and really start this race off with a bang here, as right now it's going to be that middle lane led by TJ Roberts. He's going to be the front car in that pack, and it's going to be 3 wide, 3 rows deep, right now, showing everybody has aggression and really looking to get out front, get themselves some bonus points. And the big run from the top going to be led by Buzzio in the 21 machine as he takes over the lead, but Roberts tries to go below him.
Oh, and there he goes, the 56 poking his nose out. He's going to decide to slot back there behind the 3 car. And the 38 of Jamie Plord sitting there in the 3rd position, followed by the 19 of Borbell. These guys are going all at it early on, but looks like they're starting to file themselves out without really any kind of damaged fenders, bends at all. That really gets your blood pumping as a driver. As we look back here, Stephen Barbell trying to make that outside line work, but unfortunately TJ Roberts getting shuffled to the outside, and he's going to drop way back in this pack as they are just about single file throughout the field.
That he is. This means TJ Roberts just completely trundling backwards as right now we're riding on up front as these drivers trying to make something work here. But at the moment, it's going to be single file for our front 5 as we ride on board with Blaine Wilson in this 18 machine right behind his teammate is Steven Borbell in the 19 as they look up ahead. Borbell going to jump out to the outside line, Floored up ahead, working with the 56 machine of Richard. Those two working together. But here we're going to have the 2 teammates at 2018 Racing jump up there. They got their teammate of Buzzio back there to 21. They're going to look to group up here on the top side.
But look at that already, that those 2 cars are still not strong enough to help maintain the speed. But here comes, like you said, Zach, the 21 trying to help out his team with the yellow car right behind them. Just looks like the 9 of Chad Bean also trying to get that outside line formed up. But right now, they have 3 cars they need to get side by side to pass before they can think about the lead. But they are going to try and do it on the outside lane here. With the 25 lap, Zach, 80% fuel load, that should put them where they can run these stages without worrying about fuel. But that 3rd stage, they are definitely going to have to make at least 1 pit stop.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth there, Carl. They're definitely going to have to hit pit road. There's no way you're going to make that 50-lap run there. They should be able to make these 25-lap stints, though, with that 80% fuel load. So no worries for the first 2 stages, we believe, here when it comes to fuel. But, man, right now, it's just all about the racing out there on this surface. And we're going to be quickly coming already to 20 to go in this stage. And that's how fast things can happen here when you're going 200 miles an hour here at Talladega.
Well, they're putting in just a tick over 50-second lap times in. And now that they're getting a little more organized, a little more in a rhythm, these times may actually pick up a little bit despite the side-by-side action, because that inside line is just really moving. Borbell in the front of that outside line really struggling to get the move on, but don't count them out. The last few weeks, we have noticed Blaine and Steven both have great long run speed, and we can see that here again at Talladega as these teammates are just trying to hang on and push the way forward.
Yeah, they definitely are trying to work together, as you would say, as those 3 are all stacked up on top of each other. Their teammate Christensen well back in the back. He's pretty much riding in the very back of this field along with Gavin Rogers in the 17. So Christensen doesn't want to be a part of that right now. I think he's in his 20 machine after winning last week saying, well, I'm locked in now. Let's go out here and see if we can get another victory. And he wants to keep, I think, that fast repair. That fast repair can be so valuable, Carl. When you don't have one, you got to play it safe the whole time. But in my opinion, a lot of drivers, when they get that fast repair, they kind of throw caution to the wind. But I feel like you should play safe even more, because if you can have the upper hand on drivers later in this race to have one while they don't, you can make moves while they're going to be a little bit more worried about what happens to them.
Well, exactly that. And here, as we see some separation between a couple of packs, you have the back pack and the front pack. We've mentioned before how, aero sensitive these cars are and this track can be, and any kind of damage can slow you down. Any really substantial whack to that outside line and that outside wall can really hinder your performance throughout the race. As this backpack is interesting, because with that, you would think they'd try to get single file, use that momentum, and try to get back to the front. But these guys really racing hard, 4th and 15th or so.
Yeah, they are racing pretty hard as this pack is dropped back behind, and it's led by Roberts there. So Roberts after up front leading for a moment now, leading this backpack, and they've dropped back almost upwards of about a second and a half just that lap there, Carl. So looks like they've took the opportunity here to say, you know what, we're going to ride back here and try to stay out of what is going on up ahead. Is this a 12-car breakaway in this front lead?
And don't look now, but Stephen Barbell, Blaine Wilson, 2018 Racing, getting linked up in that outside lane. The one of Mike Thomas is there as well. And they've actually gained a little bit of ground on that inside lane, trying to get door to door with the 38, the second car in that inside line. But right now, they are still holding strong, not really moving forward or too far back, but just can't quite get the momentum and get that speed to shoot them out to the front.
Yeah, just not able to get it done. It's only 3 cars. Like, just the numbers not working there for themselves. But I tell you gotta give credit to the 56. He's been able to work very well along with the 38. Those two have been stuck together pretty much the whole entire time here, Carl. While the 19, the 18, the 21, they've tried to make something happen, but a little bit of stack up on the inside line now as I say that. And here comes the run from that outer lane. And oh, the 23 of DeRoches back and forth. Luckily holds on to that machine as he drops it back low.
And there was a huge checkup coming out of turn 2. They might have actually bounced off that apron, and it gets so squirrely, you have to get off the throttle a little bit. But that's right, Zach. That did give the outside line just enough edge and momentum to take the lead. The 19 is trying to maybe think about diving down, but he will not have his teammates behind him. So he's going to choose the outside lane. This is the 78. Mason Houseman decides to jump out in that outside line, and here we go. These guys are driving and making a little bit of moves, a little bit of momentum. Now 2018 Racing out in front.
Just like that, Carl, they make it happen, and we were wondering where the run was going to come from. It just took one little stack up on that bottom lane, and now everybody jumping up to this high line. And you know, I've seen this lately, this package too, man. You know, we've seen this in cup races before where everybody migrates to the top. It's going to be interesting now. You'll see them all drop back low, but I've seen times where in a few races, even this week, as this is the official race on iRacing this week, where drivers will get up top and some contact back here. These two somehow hold on to it. I don't know how the 56 didn't get launched there, but man, oh man, more contact behind us. The 13 and the 23 bounce off the wall, but nothing behind them to get into as that pack's flying up to them.
And everyone's trying to fan out, trying to find some real estate where they won't gain any kind of damage. And right now, look at that. Going super high, Daytona winner TJ Roberts in the 3. The 77, Kubanek, he is on the cut line. He's looking to have a good outing here at Talladega. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, one guy bouncing off the wall, and we have a bigger breakaway now with the rest of the field. The 23 to Roche, and the 13 far back there with some at least moderate damage. And right now, looks like they're just going to try and limp it around to the end of the stage.
Yeah, this pack fell well back now behind that lead pack, and that lead pack only going to be 7 cars, but I think one's going to hang on, and it's going to be a 38 of Plord there, who luckily gets back onto the back of the pack. So 8 cars now up in that top group, but these first 12 laps have been super eventful, led by Borbell though at the moment.
Don't look now, Mason Houseman, our winner from Watkins Glen, up here in the front of the inside line, getting a nice little push from Chad, being in the 9 machine. The 96, Steve Cole, kind of doing really well for himself. Started 7th, it's still currently in 6th. And these guys are definitely trying to push to the front. But these guys in the second pack, they are still not side by side. It looks like the 17, Gavin Rogers, trying to make that outside work. And these guys are just really fighting for the scraps for the stage end at this point, because they are not making any leeway to that front pack.
No, they definitely aren't, Carl. It's tough for them because, you know, right now they're just got to ride it out. You don't want to get involved in anything back here. You're so far back that you're not going to catch up in time, in my opinion. So really no reason to risk anything big. Just ride it out here to the end of the stage. And that's what I think a lot of these drivers need to make happen, is positions to them aren't going to matter. None of these positions are 4 points. Is right now that 45, actually, sorry, no, the 45 will be that first car on the top 10. So there will be 1 point available to this pack, so they might have some fight to see who gets that 1 point. This is going to actually be a little bit more spicy than I thought.
Definitely indeed. It looks like the 7, Alex Coffey, giving a good shove to that 45 as we ride on board. He's doing really well. Alex Coffey started in the back as well, with a slow qualify time might have been kind of intentional there, but now he's trying to push that 45 5 Toyota in front to get them a little bit faster and maybe make a little bit of time to that front pack, which seems to be, it's only about 8 cars. So right here, the 45 and the 7, these are the last 2 points of this stage. So we may have 2 different races here come, 16 laps with the stage. I'm sorry, 10 laps or so with this stage coming in. This is the race right here for the last couple of stage points. So this will be very interesting as these laps tick away, as the stage slowly ticks away.
That it is Coffee pushing his teammate there, because I think Dallas Magnus or Manus is a new driver for CNC Esports, at least in their team room here when it comes to Discord. So interesting to see them working together here with the newcomer, and we'll see how they can work together. As you can see them, I think, practicing almost their tandem draft here for later in the race that you might have to make happen. But as we jump back up front, it's still 2018 Racing leading that outside line, but inside being led by Halsman and Bean. Then you got the 96 of Stephen T. Cole there, who is looking pretty strong himself.
And actually, this side-by-side battling is allowing that second pack to slowly creep their way forward. The last couple of laps, that second pack has been 3 to 4 tenths faster than this pack, with about 10 laps to go here. We'll see how they can. They're about 5 laps, so if it were to pass, it's a very slim possibility they could catch the back of this pack towards the end of the stage.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out. That 2018 race is still holding the outer groove, leading the way. That inside line not able to make inroads, and right now just not able to get closely packed up enough to get that run. And from what I'm seeing, just 3 cars holding that outer groove like that, Carl. That tells me that outside line's pretty strong. And like I said, I've seen earlier this week that a few times in official sessions, everybody would just migrate to the top, as we've seen in a lot of Cup Series races. They just kind of stick to that there and then wait for the opportune moment to make something happen, because if you drop down there by yourself, you're kind of in no man's land going backwards.
Well, the speed is one thing. You're running a higher momentum, higher RPM, but also you're running the longer way around the track, Zach. Running that top line continuously, how much does that really affect the fuel line that they're trying to make with these cars? What are they trying to learn as these cars run that middle line?
Yeah, you definitely do burn more fuel. It's just just the way it works. Running the outside line is the longer way around the racetrack. It's just a little bit longer distance, so more fuel being burned, but not too drastic. It's not going to be major amounts of difference in your distance, but definitely still going to be something different that you can happen. But look at this. See, this is what they're doing. They're migrating here, everybody to the middle, and I would not be surprised here if they come off of 4 and everybody goes up to the wall, because when you have that wall against you, you have really nobody able to jump to your outside, because right now if it stacks up, somebody jumps to their outside, then they have the advantage of leading that outer groove. Is with it all stacked up like this, maybe that second pack led by Dallas can close it down, because it's only 4.4 seconds and they've been turning quicker lap times.
Quicker lap times by quite a bit, actually. Another 4/10 of a lap quicker, it looks like. So these guys are really trying to put in the laps and gain that first pack, but with only 7, 8 laps to go. You mentioned it, they're closing in under 4 seconds gap separation. They regained about a second the last 2, 3 laps. This is going to be interesting, Zach. It looks like the 38 of Jamie Poor trying to get out there, get low around this lap car that looks like to be the 13 of Ryan Harrison. Caught up in a little scuffle earlier on. That'll put him a second lap down, so already struggles for the 13 of Ryan Harrison.
And the teamwork from this 2018 racing group up front, the 3 of them, is just looking fantastic, I must say. Is they've been dicing their way through the field, going bottom when they need to, then getting back up to that middle lane where they feel very, very comfortable. Is now Halsman going to try to catch up to them, but you can see the little bit of separation here. This is going to allow that second pack back there to kind of close up a little bit here on that top group, but really, even looking at lap times wise, Dallas slower than Borbell that last time, so still a 4.2 second gap. But if they can get within a second to 2 seconds of them, they will start to get a draft off that front pack up ahead, and that progress will speed up. So coming here now to 6 to go with this stage here, Carl. This could get close here if that second pack can just pick up a little bit more pace.
That first pack, that was really interesting. That kind of broke up. They were going around a lap car but we all saw it there. They were really solid in a line on that middle groove. And I'm kind of curious why that fell apart like it did. It was a single car. Kind of curious to see him latch there to the back of the 38, gaining that draft, just kind of stemming the bleeding, not going any further laps down, just trying to stay alive to the end of the stage, which comes in about 6 laps at lap 25. And right now, the 56 of Wolcifer and the 38 of Plord trying to fight their way back up again, as they were in this situation about 10 laps ago.
And you can see this group here. They're just really trying to figure out how they can maybe make a run here back at that top group. But we'll see how they can formulate something. Is right there. Cole, also Stephen T. Cole, he's the one in the 96 there. He needs to possibly get himself a victory. He's on the outside of the cut line there in that 96. So a lot of drivers here, Carl, needing stage points. And, if you can get a stage victory, that's 10 great bonus points to help out your chances here heading into that cutoff.
And everyone is fighting and clawing their way up to those positions, getting those points. And we see these guys, another lapped car coming along. That's a 23 of DeRoche. That'll put him 2 laps down as well. And he'll probably tag along with 13, let everyone pass, and then just get into that draft and try not to go any further down. But this top line, this top pack right here, only has a 2.7 second lead to that second pack. And there's only 8 cars there. These guys, oh, we have a caution wrecking in turn 3. That's a 38, and all further on in the pack. That's second pack when they get there. More damage. Unfortunate event here towards the end of the stage.
And just like that, I believe that might even bring it into our stage here, because we're within 5 laps of that stage. And you can see Plord here rolling backwards in the 38. That was a crazy moment there. Not sure how it all started. I think maybe Chad Bean in the 9 might have got a little bit loose and got turned, but we're going to see a little bit of the aftermath here as this second pack kind of comes into it. Everybody's trying to get checked up. Some drivers running into the back of each other, and you can see Christensen last week's wearing a 20, locking him up, trying to miss Bean there as he barely makes a little bit of contact, but does a good job of missing it. And also another guy driver just missing Plord.
Oh, Zach, how hard is that? You're going about 180, 190 miles an hour. You're trying to trek up for a break, and your brakes are locking up, just getting your tires. How nerve-wracking is that going into a wreck like that, just hoping you don't hit anything?
Oh, man. It can be a very scary moment. You can see her riding on board with Christensen on this replay. You're going to see he's going to go high. He gets hit in the rear end there trying to slow down. Luckily for him, he has it locked up completely. And when you have those tires locked up like that, you really don't have any control where you're going. You're just hoping you can slow down, and wherever your car takes you will be the best spot. And luckily for Christensen, he barely skates by that. Same for Bean, because if they would have made that head-on collision like that, that would have been a pretty much both of them having to use a fast repair. I think a lot of drivers are going to get out of that without having to use one. So big ordeal for them there. But look at this pit road being taking opportunities here, and looks like possibly is that the 23 there who I don't know if he missed pit road, but it looks like DeRoche is going to stay out. Is actually sorry, he's 2 laps down, so he'll have to come back down next time.
Well, either that or he's trying to play the long game, get the wave around, but we will see as these guys are getting their pit service, and it's going to be interesting how valuable track position is. You don't want to have any mistakes down pit road, don't want to have any speeding. Even missing your pit box at a track like this can mean a spot or 2, Zach. So definitely got to focus on those pit stops.
Definitely got to focus on them, Carl. And, folks, the way of this timing working out with this, I'm not sure if we got word yet, Carl. I don't know if you've heard over the radios. I haven't heard over the radios yet. I have not got word yet if this is the stage or not. But I'd imagine it was there, as, with that timing of the caution, I don't think we'll get back going green before that lap 25.
Well, if my calculations are correct, it is possible they could go green on lap 25 and have a 1-lap shootout. But that's really interesting situation. We'll have to see. But yeah, Zach, I haven't heard anything either, so we will all have to just kind of bide our time and wait to see what kind of statement will be made about this stage. But we will see, and when we find out, you guys, the viewers, the fans, will find out as well.
Yeah, that they will. I'm trying to do a little bit of research here and make sure, where that is stated or any such is stated for that stage. And you didn't really find nothing for that. So we'll have to see how it all works out here, man. Because we might be able to get back going back green before that stage and get like a one lap shootout. Because there is the new system of iRacing they've added where it's the quickie yellows. So you never know. We might be able to get a quick little yellow here and get back going green, but get us a stage race to the end. So we'll see how that works out. But while we are under caution, you can see up top there on our ticker, folks, that's the iRacing iFlag yellow, and iRacing iFlag is a great sponsor we have here at Freaky Fast Broadcast. And if you never heard of them, man, you need to go check them out at iRacingIFlag.com. They got their visual flag system. It has 64 LEDs that gives you plenty of information out there on track that keeps you really notified of what is going on around you. As you can see, our iRacing iFlag flashing yellow up there to let us know the flag state is yellow. You can get yourself one out there to let you know, folks. So make sure you go check them out at iRacingIFlag.com, and you can see on there we got a discount code FreakyFast 2022 there to use at purchase, and you'll be able to get yourself a discounted purchase. So make sure you go check them out and check out that their digital pit board. It's very, very cool when it comes to sim racing.
You gotta love all the stuff, all the sponsors involved, creates innovation, all the great minds involved. But Zach, guess what? We are going to go green. We are 1 to green as you see them ridding up side by side. They will go green on lap 25, so we will have to see if they throw a flag at the end of that 1 lap run, but we will all be on board to see that happen as these guys make their way around this really, really long pace lap. Considering 50-second laps in the race, in the draft, over 2 minutes pacing around, Zach, that's a lot of time to yourself and strategize and talk with your teammates.
That it is, Carl, and that the teamwork and the strategies that you form with your teams are so important, man. It's like it's literally what comes down to the make or break situations when if you have something formulated, you can kind of know what to do when you get to those situations instead of just reacting. When you make reactions just happen, it is very tough as a driver to not make a mistake sometimes when you're just doing stuff on the fly. When you can go out there, plan it out with your teammate, you can make a little bit of a different, opportunity for yourself and maybe make that situation work out better. But maybe this 1 lap shootout here, we'll see who can win this stage. Is going to be Borbell out front. The 19's got Buzzio with him there, and Blaine Wilson, though, the 3 teammates still out front. But we'll see how can they get grouped together here for this restart.
Mason Houseman, TJ Roberts lined up behind him, and look at that, Gavin Rogers making his way to the front of the pack here in the later laps of this stage with this caution. But there you saw it, the pace car is taking that left turn down pit road, and the field is in the hands of Stephen Borbell going through the tri-oval, just waiting to take that green flag. And here we go, side by side. Cars are in the restart zone, and there it is. Green flag waving high over here at Talladega. These guys already, you mentioned that teamwork, the 18 slowed down just enough to let the 21 in, and right now that outside line being led by the 78.
Yeah, Hausman going to lead that outside groove there. And then behind him, look at that. It's going to be our points leader, Gavin Rogers, in the 17 machine. We'll see if this is a 1 lap shootout. If we get the yellow, this is the end of the stage. If we don't, the stage was the yellow before. So we'll see here, folks, as we look on board to see how it all works out. But Borbell holding on here as we head into 3 and 4. I don't think that top side's going to have enough with only 2 cars out there, Carl.
Only 2 cars lead. We saw it earlier. That cannot make it happen. If a third one gets up there with some good teamwork, maybe it can at least hang tight with that inside line. But right now, everyone's trying to hug that bottom yellow line, get the shortest way around the track as they try to build up speed. And that's a 78. The 18 bumping doors going through the tri-oval, coming to the start-finish line. And it looks like we stay green, so that caution looks like qualified as that stage caution. So right now we are racing in stage 2. Looks like a breakaway for the top 7 cars as the rest of the pack tries to catch up behind them.
So Borbell with that stage 1 victory, even though we got that one at the caution before. So even though he leads still now, he would have got it either way, man. So great job to Borbell there for that stage 1 victory. It was a little bit mixed up, so we didn't get our stage results there from before, but we'll try to get them to you here hopefully for stage number 2 to see exactly how it all shakes out. But look at this immediately, Carl. They jump to that middle lane. That's something that 2018 Racing has been doing, and they've been doing it very, very well. My question is, when does Nigel Christensen in the 20 try to go up there and give it his teammates? Because if he waits too long to get up here in this race, he may run out of time. And, when everybody else is going for it, it gets tougher and tougher to pass.
It really does, and this track really just kind of lends itself to the momentum. Is wow, the 3 gets a huge shove from Alex Coffey in the 7 down inside the line, and they are just rolling through the bottom lane and making it 3 wide, trying to get into turn 3. A little bit ahead of the 18. This looks like the 2018 Racing had a little bit of a shuffle, but right now 3 wide here on lap 27, really pushing the boundaries of this racetrack as the 45 gets a little loose on the inside.
And just like that, we open up the 3 wide possibilities here as the 3 machine back to the lead. TJ Roberts with the help of his teammate Alex Coffey. And you can see Coffey able to really shove and almost do what we would call the tandem drafting. You get connected to the bumper, push for as hard as you possibly can, and then you got to get off though because of that cooling temperatures on those cars. So right now they were able to jump out front, and look at this 2018 Racing getting swamped as they go backwards. We're watching these guys up front.
The 19 had a problem on exit of 2 that allowed the outside lane of the 78 and the 17 go around them. And right now, Gavin Rogers sitting in front of the 19, leading that outside pack. And right now, sitting on board with Bell, has a really steady wheel. He's not using too much input, not moving anything around too much. And Zach, even though it is a super speedway, you don't use too much wheel, the less wheel you use will still help save those tires, give you a little more grip throughout the run, especially on a warm day like today.
Yeah, not only that too, Carl, but the less wheel you use, the less speed you scrub. So definitely something interesting to see. And oh man, up front we got a major check up here as we hop on board. You can see this group up ahead, and man, I can tell you what, the outside line is looking to be where the drivers want to get up to and maybe just hold that groove. Right now as Roberts and Coffey, they position themselves up in that groove. And this is interesting now because, again, I wondered what lines were going to be the lines to watch out for. It looks like the outer groove looking to be the one that wants to dominate. But you can see right here, we got the 24 Shade back here in the 16th position. And he's back here trapped, I believe, with Harrison in the lap down car in the 2nd position. So, unfortunately, these 2 with damaged cars back here kind of just drafting by themselves. Going to have to try to limp through that lap 50 stage and hopefully not go a lap down.
Well, they have each other to draft off of, and they are faster together than they would be alone. So at least they have, each other to draft off of and be able to kind of help each other around the track, maybe stem the flow of that loss of time to the leaders. As man, they are still going 3 wide for the lead here. It looks like the 7, Alex Coffey, going to abandon his buddy, the 3 of TJ Roberts, try and lead that out inside line where 2018 Racing has decided to congregate. So right now, 2 distinct lines, the high line and the inside line, but the outside line looking to have a better run right now.
Definitely a better run from that top groove being led by TJ Roberts still. And I'll tell you what, 2018 Racing, they've tried to get themselves a little bit more formed up, but they unfortunately have not. But Christensen actually now the leader of that group. So, man, he's done a good job to get ahead of his teammates now as they're going to be down below him here. As now the push coming from the up ahead to this 00 machine.
And these guys are pushing really, really hard. We're only 6 laps into this stage. We still have the lap 50 before the second H stands, so these guys are really pushing hard. Kind of an opposite of earlier in the last stage, but right now, the 7 taking a hard swerve to the outside lane to avoid a little bit of a checkup, but that is going to let the 19 and the 21 battle for the lead. So these guys swapping positions back and forth up here for the lead.
Yeah, the lead just changes back and forth just like a merry-go-round, man. This is definitely wild to see. And the big push from Coffey to Rogers shot him out there. Then Coffey went to make the move, but then the 2018 Racing here group, now all 4 lined up. They make the move on the bottom to go by, and now all 4 of them in line here. As I tell you, it's going to be a CNC Esports in 2018 Race Fest here. As you got these guys all stacking up with Coffey, Manis, Curtis, all of them right in position right here, and also Roberts.
And there is all that teamwork we mentioned earlier, Zach. Whose team can prevail here? As we have a team heavyweight title championship at Talladega with all these guys going back and forth, and that really is the top 8 cars do seem to be 2 different teams. All these guys having their team strategies down, and looks like they might have even practiced throughout the weekend. They are swinging back and forth trying to take this lead away from each other.
And the lead just changes back and forth here. Coffee now, the leader of that outside group, 2018 racing down to the bottom, as it looks like CNC Esports going to be able to make the push there for the outside line to be led with all 4 of them. Then you'll have Rogers behind them in the 17 machine, just the lone driver here tonight. Then you'll have Stephen T. Cole in that 96. He'll be up in this picture too, as that is our top 10 right now, as our top 10 have broken away, as back in 11th is being led by Hausman, as they've kind of fell back from this group right here.
And Hausman was one of those guys in the top 5 throughout the majority of stage 1. And the issue is he's leading that second pack, but that's 11th place. If the stage were to end now, he'd be that 1 position that starts the non-paying points positions. So he needs to catch up to that second pack in order to be in the hope to get even 1 stage point tonight in the second stage. As looks like these guys are getting a little squirrely down on the inside line. That's a 77 of Kubanek. Kubanek can't afford any kind of mistakes sitting on the line, and there is Nigel Christensen trying to get his way through the inside line. The 96 diving there in the inside, trying to keep DeRoche there in the draft. DeRoche was able to keep a lap by taking the wave around, but he's going to be on a different fuel strategy. Doubtful he's going to make the duration of the second stage.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him to make it there. We'll see what he can do. He's hoping for some type of caution to help his chances, but Cole's able to get down in the 96 machine, and he's done a good job of staying up in this lead group. And, you know, the 96 machine, he's definitely going to need a good run here tonight. He needs these, really stage points, and even, to go for a victory. And I know that he was asked about it this week, and he even said that he felt this was going to be his best chance, and maybe I think that 96 machine is going to be trying to go for it here tonight at Talladega.
The 51-year-old racer from LaPorte, Texas, is definitely looking to make a splash here and maybe mix up the standings. As we get really, really squirrely there. The 45 struggling with that inside line. And, Zach, maybe another thing. Does the middle lane become the faster line because it can be more stable? That inside line is kind of a very thin edge there between hitting the guy outside you and bouncing off that apron.
It really is, Carl, and that's what I think a lot of guys were kind of venturing up to that outside line, just due to it being a little bit more stable. When you get to the inside line, it is very nice to be down there and run quick times, but if you're hitting the apron, if you're swerving up and down, it really is not the most efficient line. So we'll see what happens. Is right now that outside line trying to make stuff happen with Rogers and Christensen up top, but it's only those 2 there by themselves. So we'll have to see how they can formulate something. But right now, it's CNC Esports leading the first 4 positions.
CNC Esports looking to crash the party that 2018 racing has started last week, finishing in the top 4 positions. And there is the 17, Gavin Rogers, looking to really get on the inside door there, try taking the airway, or more like dumping that air, using that side draft. And Zach, using that side draft, you got to be careful, because yeah, you can slow the other guy down, but you can probably slow yourself down as well, as it looks like he's going to fall back just a couple more positions.
Yeah, it is one of those interesting things. You can really stall out the line with a side draft. You want to do it strategically. Some drivers do it, all the time, and to those drivers, that is, I think, the downfall of them, Carl, is they side draft almost too much. You need to get a side draft in and then get away. If you keep this side draft there, then you pretty much just stall both of you drivers out, because once you try to pull past them, they side draft back on you. So you need to get the side draft done when you get to that left rear quarter panel, then try to break away from them so they don't get to your left rear.
And there is a little bit of a gap. Looks like Gavin Rogers is able to get down tight enough on the 00, John Curtis, and create a gap, try and break up those teammates, but he couldn't quite capitalize. on the opportunity, but right now there's a gap between the 00 and the 19, and the 17 is going to fit right there and try and break away and be that one kind of a lone island between CNC Esports and 2018 Racing.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see that kind of a mix up there with Cole and both Rogers in the mix with these these 8 teammates. So you got the 4 teammates from each team on those sides, and you got the two drivers on their own here trying to battle it out with them here as we get closer and closer to that stage number 2. And man, it's wild to say, but this race clicking away very quickly, and that's how Talladega can be. Just put the laps in, and you never know when it comes back around, because at lap 100, things are all going to go haywire.
Well, we don't have to wait for them to go haywire lap 100. The ends of these stages at these super speedways has been quite exciting to watch as well, considering we saw a little bit of scuffle there before the end of the first stage. Then Nigel Christensen getting really kind of squirrely there in the corner, really struggling with the handling on that car. But Gavin Rogers sitting there in second place now, pushing the 7 hard and going to get right up side of him. Gavin Rogers all alone up here, but right now battling for the lead.
Rogers all by himself when it comes to teammates. But like you said, battling for the lead, that's so impressive from that 17. And he was able to lead that lap. So get that bonus point, really help his chances to continue to build on that lead he has. And he's going to have a shot here for a stage win possibly, as now that outer groove looks to be the dominant way to go, as Rogers is going to pull a dominant lead down the backstretch.
Alex Coffey, TJ Roberts had a really scary situation on the exit of turn 2. They were bouncing off of that apron and had to get off the throttle. That caused that outside line to be able to make that pass. And right there, Gavin Rogers still trying to steam forward, keep that lead. But CNC Esports may have something to say about it here in the next couple of laps, as we are 10 laps into the end of this stage. And really, there hasn't been any major kind of breakaways besides the one pack from the other. The 17 really the only car on team between these other top 9 competitors. So really impressive for the 17 to come out here and lead this pack at this point.
Yeah, you can see he's trying to do a good job of managing both lanes right now, as he's going to jump back up top. Christensen, though, did not think he was going to wait there, as I think he was going to jump out to the outside, but he decides to let the 17 back in line, as 17 trying to decide which lane he wants to be in. But man, sometimes you pick both, and then you can quickly get in a situation where you get put in the sucker hole.
Oh, definitely. And right there, Nigel Christensen. Ooh, they get really close together. Our 2 leaders, the 7 and the 17. But Nigel Christensen might have cut the 17 to break a little bit there, because that was a really close fit to get in front. But right now, side by side, 17 on the outside, the 3 giving a really, really good push to Alex Coffey there in the 7 machine Toyota. And these guys are still racing really, really hard. There's still 45 dips down below that apron.
Side-by-side action here for this lead spot. And man, the 2018 Racing Group up top, the CNC Esports Group down low, and it's looking like that outside line looking to be the way to go. And I think Rogers, he wanted to get down low. The 17 wanted to jump there, and he does this time, as Christensen was like, no, sir, I want to jump low too to get to the inside of you. But they both cover off down low. Now Coffey going to jump up to the top side. He's going to get the side draft here. Now you have Roberts jump up also, as it's all going haywire here now, and they're going to go to the very outside of Rogers up front.
Evan Rogers with the attempted block, but couldn't pull it off. And now we have an intermixed set of cars at the top line. 2 CNC Esports, 2, 3 2018 racing cars. And right now they're going to split. The top 2 cars in the top line are going to be the 7 and the 3. The bottom line is, oh, and there's contact between the 3 and the 21. And he's going to hit the outside wall. And they are going to cause a huge wreck coming out of turn 2. And that's going to cause the caution to come out here on lap 43.
The 96 SDT Cole goes around. Dallas Manis goes around. Man, and I mean, TJ Roberts, I don't know if we'll be able to show that exactly, because he might have left Talladega and, I mean, Alabama, the state and all.
He was definitely launched out of the track racing surface. So we're going to see there's a little bit of a twitch there on the 3, causing him to go down to the 21. The 21 bouncing off his teammate of the 18, Blaine Wilson. The 3 almost had it, may have overcorrected, and there it is. Gets sent into the wall, and boom, gets shot up like a cannon from the 21. And that is going to definitely need a fast repair.
Man, oh man. Acrobatics and flying here when it comes to Talladega, and TJ Roberts, our winner from Daytona. Whew. Fast repair going to be needed, and we'll see Dizzy stick the landing. Right now, it's not looking the best for him, but I think he might get a little help here from the wall, Carl. No, the wall backfires, and I think he gets stuck on his roof, and that's the worst case scenario because guess what? He had to call for a tow. He's going to be waiting here a few laps at least, and he's going to be going a lap down, or a couple laps down possibly here.
Couple laps down, but he'll have a chance. He'll be able to use that fast repair, so don't worry, it'll buff out. But as we continue to go yellow around this track, these guys maybe talking to some of their teammates, talking to the other competitors, especially how hard they were racing each other there towards the front. With this caution, the timing, it's going to be another sprint to the finish of the second stage.
Yeah, the last one was ended by the caution. This one not going to be though. This one not within 5 laps of that stage yellow at lap 50. So we're going to get this going back green, and that's why you see a lot of drivers not hitting pit road here. So they're going to stay out, and they're going to look to battle it out here as Coffee's out front. And stage 2 here, this is setting up here to be some good points here for a few drivers that need it, but also some time for Coffee to, even cut into Rogers' lead. But unfortunately for him, Rogers right there in fourth.
And, we were questioning his starting at the back, not putting down a qualified time. And here he is, the end of stage 2, not even halfway through the race. He's been contending for the lead. Really fast car, been able to push and be pushed. And that sometimes can be the more important factor in these super speedway races, these plate races, being able to take that push from a teammate or being able to push that teammate without causing an accident, without causing a spin. That can be such a kind of a mentally taxing game in and of itself.
It really can be, and this track overall is just mentally taxing. It's just one of those places where you feel like, you're waiting for your opportunity always, and it's one of those places where, like, as a driver, you go through a race and you feel like the race changes, and there's at other tracks. This place, you feel like you're almost just waiting for something to happen for you to dodge either, or just waiting for the opportunity to try to get yourself in a better spot. So it's a mentally taxing race, a race that's really not too, physically demanding or nothing like that, but it's definitely, I would say, more on the mental side of things when you come to Talladega about trying to keep your mind in that game plan of not making some, being aggressive because you got to be aggressive here, but not being over aggressive because those over aggressive moves can sometimes come back to backfire you or backfire on yourself.
And definitely, and as these cars get looser, it gets a little more taxing. You start thinking more about your driving, trying, like you mentioned earlier, keeping that wheel smooth, not putting too much input into it, keeping that car on the surface and keeping it running and straight. But these guys already showing towards the end of these stages, these stage points are so critical to some of these guys' playoff run. These drivers are really pushing it to the limit. It looks like Doorbell may have been trying to do a fake out there. Don't know why, but you never know. Just one more mental game these guys are playing.
That it could be, man. Mental warfare out there on the racetrack as they get closer and closer to that lap 50 stage number 2. And I think we should be getting the lights off on the pace car this time. By that, we do. They'll get them double file back up. And man, this has already been an interesting Talladega race so far, Carl. But, with tonight being Talladega, we got Sonoma and then also Las Vegas left here in this regular season for the drivers trying to make it into that playoff push. Talladega, the best opportunity in these races for, I think, drivers, throughout the board. But Sonoma and Las Vegas, they have some opportunities also for some drivers that might not have had the best of chances so far this season to put themselves already in that playoff standing.
I bet a lot of these racers have Sonoma circled on their calendars because, in a sense, a road course can be like a super speedway, one of those wild cards where you have just a little bit of a different edge, a little bit of a different a tactic to attacking a road course, compared to maybe a mile and a half like Vegas. Just look at our own Mason Hossman here in the 78, sitting there just kind of rolling around. He was in the top 5, but right now he's sitting in the 8th position. uh, he got his win at Watkins Glen, doing really well and keeping it really smooth. And other than that, he might have said him borderline mediocre season. So a road course, one of those times the driver can come out to prove himself.
That they really can, and it'll be fun to see who can tame the streets of Sonoma. So it'll be always fun there in the desert and or sorry, in the wine country of the mountains there and in Sonoma and in Napa Valley. So love that track. But I tell you what, we got Talladega here tonight, and Talladega is a beast in itself, Carl. So we'll see who can get it done. We're coming to that lap 50 stage, folks. Remember, the top 10 drivers are the drivers that are awarded points. And it looks like Pace Car is going to pull off this time, Carl, and we're going to get it back going green.
Get it back going green here at this beast of a track. Who shall conquer and survive here these next 54 laps as these guys or these racers waiting for the green flag, and there it is, green flag waving again here in Alabama, and Alex Coffey getting a huge start there in that outer lane. Stephen Borbell just having to play catch up going into turn one.
Yeah, great start for Coffey. This is what he loves to see in the 7 machine. He's got Rogers giving him the big push, but Borbell in the 19, he's surging forward. He's going to have his teammates of the 18 of Blaine Wilton, the 20, and Nigel Christensen in tow, but their teammate Buzzio caught back there after that wreck. But here comes the third lane. Big push from Kubinek in the 77. Halsman also in the 78. Is the 78 and the 77 looking to make the big move. 3 wide here, run from the top.
Kubinek looking to get those stage points, running that super high line, getting a push from the 78, and ooh, almost a little bit of contact there in that outside wall, but here we go, 3 wide, 2 rows deep. These guys are racing for every bit they are worth, trying to get these stage points, and already a mix-up here at the front of the field with Kubinek vying for that 3rd and 2nd position, followed by Mason Hausman with a good push, but that middle line struggling with Alex Coffey at the helm.
Amazing pushing being shown right here. The 17 giving the shove to the 7, the momentum going to the Coffey machine, and he is going to take the lead down the back straightaway, but everybody looking for open in space here as this time, as they come out of turn number 4 here, Carl, they're going to be coming by, and there'll be 2 laps to go in the stage, but on the offset there is Rogers. That got close to being a major accident.
And here we are still 3 wide, 2 rows deep. The 77 and the 78 are just towing and just playing with that outside wall, that middle lane, getting a little squirrely, but so far nothing has been really crushed or spun out so far, as we are still racing at the front of this packet. Oh, there may be a little bit of contact there between the 20 and the 77. The 20 has to get out of the throttle big time, and that's going to allow the 77 and the 78 to take sole position in the front of that outside line.
Down the back straightaway, Alex Coffey with the push from Gavin Rogers looks to open up the gap. This is just bumper to bumper pushing from the 17. When will the temperatures be, a problem? And did he do it too early? Because they haven't even got the white flag yet. As they come out of 4, they'll get it this time. But will the engine be able to keep up what he's done, or will Rogers make the move earlier?
And these guys getting strung out here only for a second. These guys, these cars really start to suck up to the car in front of you after what you get about 0.6, maybe half a second away. So these already seeing the group all get compressed again as we are running towards the end of this stage. We are on lap 50, so these guys are racing for these stage points. And oh geez, there's Johnny Shane going to the outside there. Blade Wilson, Borbell trying to take the middle lane. These guys already setting it 3 wide again. Alex Coffey taking the lead from Borbell.
Look at the big block there for 2 Coffey does on Borbell, and man, oh man, Coffey somehow made that happen, but Borbell now on the back bumper, coming out of 4. They're going to be coming to the line here for the end of the stage. Can Borbell make something happen? He has Blaine Wilton, his teammate, behind, but Coffey looks to hold on here.
Buzzio behind Rogers, followed by Christensen, making a recovery from getting out of the throttle, and there it is. They cross the line, and that's the caution for stage. Some great racing to those stage points, Zach, and that was a really incredible pushing, and I don't know how we didn't have a wreck coming to the flag there.
That it was, Carl. Great block thrown there by the 7 to hold on to the lead there in the closing moments, but it's Alex Coffey your winner here in stage number 2, taking it over stage number 1. Winner there is Steven Borbell. Third is going to go to Blaine Wilson. Fourth is going to be Gavin Rogers. Our points leader. Fifth is going to be Adam Buzzio. Sixth is going to go to Nigel Christensen. Seventh is going to go to Chad Bean. Eighth is going to be Mason Hossman. Ninth is going to go to Jamie Plord. And rounding out our stage here, stage number 2 of winners there is Jimmy Kubinek with a 1 point there to round it out. Well, folks, as we hit this caution, we're going to head to our commercial break side by side here, Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll be right back here. You're not going to miss a thing.
They're splitting, and it's a complete mayhem. We have a wreck at the front. 19 goes down into the 7, takes out the 00. They're 5 wide behind for fifth. Oh my, 5 wide into 6. ain't gonna work, is it? They're already wrecking into turn 1, and now coming through out of turn 2. This is it, the Daytona. Oh no, they're wrecking contact. Sets gets into the wall, gonna be scattering on the outside. Drivers on the apron, drivers coming out of nowhere. Edison on the outside, trying to get the win, and it's William Edison stealing it at the line. Into the wall, the 18 trying to block. 77 get into the 18. That leaves 3 of TJ Roberts, 17 to Gavin Rogers. 3 of TJ Roberts is gonna steal the win here. But second fiddle so many times last season, Christopher Wade wins the season 5 Daytona 200.
And welcome back, race fans. You haven't missed a minute of the action. We are back green here at Talladega, the last stage, the third stage, racing to lap 100. These guys have fuel, have tires, but Zach, they are going to have to make a pit stop here to break up this stage. And who knows, green flag, yellow flag, who can tell when the strategy comes and when those flags will fly? But here it is, Talladega. It's always a mystery.
That it really is, Carl. And, you know, with it about being 50 laps to in this race, I'd imagine most guys are going to go about 25 laps, you know, on their fuel tank to, you know, split this up. So I think 75, you'll see possibly pit road get a little bit busy, maybe even a little bit later than that for a few drivers coming later who want to take a little bit less fuel. So definitely interesting strategies to still be played out, but a lot still left in this race as we're just over halfway.
And riding on board with Richard Wilson, for he was leading that upper line, or I should say leading this backpack, but the upper line was able to get the run on him and he fell back. We've seen at the front, he got caught in an incident in that first stage. He spent all of second stage trying to recover. There's one lap down, but here he is on the lead lap trying to make his way forward, looking at the bumper of Kubinek and just trying to negotiate his way through this traffic once again.
Could be a big moment for him, Carl. This is something he needs. He needs to continue to march his way up there after getting back on this lead lap. And we saw him be strong lead laps early in this race. And you never know, could be looking to do something here with it. As you know, he came here tonight 17th in points, so does need to gain some. But man, it's not out of the realm there for points possibility still, in my opinion, with how far he's back, especially 2 stages available in each of these races. But Richard definitely needs to have a great night here at Talladega, I think, to put himself in a good position leaving here, heading to Sonoma, and in the final 2 races.
He is definitely trying to work on that and getting it going further. But right here we see Adam Buzzio in the 21. You see the driver cram, and look at that. He's talking, relaying information, trying to talk to his teammates. And Zach, we've been hitting out on it all night long. That vital communication, and it's more than just driving. You're trying to negotiate yourself around a track at 180 miles an hour.
This is a beautiful shot right here. I love this because you get to see the communications. You talk a lot at most tracks. Myself being a driver out there, sometimes communication with your team happens frequently. That's it's kind of what you would normally see between a spotter and a driver and a crew chief. On the NASCAR side of things, there's a lot of talking going on and communication going back and forth between the drivers. But man, the biggest thing for them is just figuring out how they can make the most out of their teamwork and their strategy. So strategy, so important for everybody. And man, you got to communicate with your teams if you want to make that strategy the best as possible.
And that communication, we see him back here. The teammates aren't as linked up as they were before, with a bunch of newcomers up here in the top 3. We have Johnny Shade, Mason Houseman, Jamie Ford, Chad Bean in the 4th position, Gavin Rogers running up the top 5. Johnny Shade was caught up in an incident earlier, and now he is out here leading this race, and he's one of those drivers outside of the playoff bubble and looking in. So well done by him, leading these laps and getting these much-needed points.
Yeah, definitely needed for Johnny Shade, and exactly like you said. And, the interesting right now in this race, what you're seeing, everybody kind of gone into the mode of just ride here. I think they all know there's no stage points available. There's nothing to be paid out here. And these next, I would say 30 laps. I think really when it comes down to 10 to go is when you're going to start to see really these drivers start to pick it up. And really maybe even before that, about 20 to go after those pit stops. I think you'll see drivers start to pick it up to want to position themselves in the right spot. But right now, until we get to that, that pit stop, it's going to be pretty much, I think, a little bit of drivers just riding along here trying to make laps. But interesting to see Johnny Shade in the 24 just gives up the lead to Hossman in the 78. So Shade just jumping out from the bottom and sliding to the top.
Very odd indeed, and that may be a fuel strategy. And these 2 packs are now coming together, and Johnny Shade outside, but there is Alex Coffey jumping out to the outside as well. The 45 of Dallas is trying to get up there with his teammate, but has really struggled there. And just like that, these 2 packs are put together once again. But Zach, going back to what you mentioned, the right spot to get the checkered flag, there's much debate on that. Do you want to be leading, or do you want to be 2nd, 3rd, 4th? Maybe be able to be a little more reactionary instead of defensive going to take that checkered flag.
Yeah, it's always the age-old question at Talladega. Do you want to be the driver that has to make the move, or do you want to be the driver that has to defend the move? And, in my opinion, I always want to be the person that's reactionary. I like making the move. It puts you in a more opportunistic position. When you're out front having to defend, you kind of got one chance to defend. And if you let someone get around you, then you're pretty much done from there. So it gets tough. But, as I said, everybody was going to be nice and calm and stay single file. Well, the outside line opens up, and look at this. That number 7 machine drives himself up to the lead with the help of Johnny Shade in the 24. But also, they got the 45 of Dallas there, Manis, and also the 00 John Curtis there. So the CNC Esports team there with Johnny Shade moving their way up.
And we were wondering why Johnny Shade left the lead, and this may be the reason, helping another guy get him up to the front, and went from the lead to 2nd after a couple of laps, and still continuing to get a strong push to the 7 in that outside lane. But the rest of these guys, Mason Houseman on the inside, kind of lost his momentum once he hit that fresh air, that middle to outside line once again, looking to be the line you want to be in with that momentum, with that extra stability, and going around the outside seems to be the way. But like you said, Zach, these guys aren't waiting as long as you think they would. You got to start working your way forward. Now these spots can be hard to get, and you make one little mistake, you hit that apron, you're going to lose all that momentum. So these drivers knowing what's at stake here.
Yeah, they know what is at stake, Carl, for sure. And, some drivers have used the fast repair that are in these positions. So They gotta definitely think about that for later in this race. If you've used that, you don't have a chance to bounce back if you get into a big wreck and have major, major damage. But look at this. Interesting again. You know, it was the bottom line that led the way all the way around the racetrack. Now it's the middle lane that leads the way all the way around the racetrack with only 2 cars all down there by themselves, being that 38 applaud there with 1 other car.
And it's so hard to get in line when these guys get bumper to bumper. When these cars get bumper to bumper, it's so very incredibly difficult to find a spot, to find a hole, to get in line and regain the spots, or at least stop losing spots. Because by the time your spotter says there may be an opening or maybe a move to make, it's already closed, and that's just how quickly, how rapidly things happen at this track. As we see these drivers already side by side again, trying to make moves, and there's TJ Roberts making a huge move to the inside to try to gather them up and march them forward.
Definitely making big moves here, and look at this. Just charging up there with the push from the 78 of Hausman, TJ Roberts is, and this is going to help Hausman, who was dropping back like a rock on the bottom there, with Roberts jumping down. He was able to give the big push and really get the momentum going back forward, as now that top line getting a little bit separated there for the top 3. This could help this bottom line get a little bit of a run here as we get more and more racy again.
And TJ Roberts led earlier in the race. He has proven he loves these super speedways. The winner at Daytona, Mason Hausman, given a strong shove through the exit of turn 2, and there's the 38 of Jamie Plord, followed by the 56 of Richard Wolsifer, making a great recovery now, sitting in the top 4. So right now they're going to go to the outside, trying to get that momentum and gather them up. So already the chess match is already begun here, trying to determine which is the better line and also who you want to drive with and drive for.
Yeah, you got to build those connections out there on the racetrack, and right now Hausman and Roberts, they've done a great job. Even though not teammates, they've worked together well here to get themselves out front. But look at this. Roberts gets to the lead. He jumps out there because he knows he's got his teammate Alex Coffey up top. Also, Dallas Manis up there with him, with John Curtis, other than Johnny Shade, CC Esports, all up top. But the big check up there with the 3 getting up there, and right now they're having a major moment as they drop back with momentum on that top side.
And those 2 drivers have been really pushing each other aggressively. Haven't caused an issue, but like you mentioned there, caused a huge moment, causing the 3 to get a little loose. And it looks like the 38. Oh, there's going to be contact. The 3 to 56. They're going to wreck going into turn 3. They're going to drift up the track, collecting the rest of the field. And that looked like it might have been a block gone wrong there, possibly for the 56. But here we are. 67 out of 100 laps complete, coming on lap 68. Right now, we're probably going to see everyone come for their last pit stop, but that's going to be close. We're going to be going green with about 29 laps. Zach, will that be enough fuel?
Ooh, man, that's going to be super close call for these guys, and they're going to see a lot of guys wanting to top off probably with that 80% fuel. But to go back to this instant replay, it all started around that 56, and the 3 machine with, like you said, Carl, I think just a little bit, 2 drivers going for the same spot. The 56 coming down just a little bit too late, but you can see from here, just a lot of drivers involved in it, and heavy collisions for some here. Is there's definitely going to be faster pairs used, possibly Blaine Wilson there in the 18. Also, they're involved in it. The 13 or 23 of DeRoches involved, and man, right now, some hurt cars after this latest caution.
A couple of meatballs and a few hurt feelings. Maybe some of these drivers have already used their fast repair, so we will have to see who stays on the lead lap, who has the speed to stay on the lead lap there as well. And it's going to be really interesting. The pit road's going to be open. It's 33 laps to go, coming on 32. And you said, Zach, it may be a stretch on fuel, and it doesn't look like we are going to have too many takers. Ooh, a late taker. Looks like Alex Coffey, and that's going to leave Jamie Plord out here on his own. Old tires, no fuel, and Zach, that's just got to feel gut-wrenching to know everyone else behind you went into the pits.
Yeah, that sets up to be not what Plord wants there, man. And for him, that's interesting because you would think you come down, get the fuel, get all the tires on this car, even if you can't feel like you can make it to the end. the more fuel you can have in this car, the less you'll have to take for later in this race. It'd just be a splash and much faster. And also, Plord being all by himself, he'd have to be one of the only drivers to hit pit road. He would be a sitting duck coming down by himself.
That's just an unfortunate way to play out that strategy, and it did look like no one was going to pit. There's maybe going to be a couple of takers, but once that 7 machine dived down pit road, he drew everyone else in. So we will see how this goes. And Zach, being at the front, you can't save as much fuel either. And with those cars pitting behind them, there are going to be a few cars back there. Those guys are going to be able to save some of that fuel to start out these next 30 laps or so. And that's going to be interesting to see play out as well.
Yeah, and I think Plord really is going to only have about 10 to 12 laps here to play with anyways of fuel. So, you know, he's going to have to hope for something to happen here again. And, you know, you never know with it, man. This race has been pretty wild so far, to say the least. And, you know, we could get some more incidents that really help Plord's chances out here where, you know, maybe this is a good track position game for him.
And it could be, or, you know, with some of the aggressive drivers and pushers behind him, he could take a wrong push and be that caution, knowing he's on that alternate strategy. And mind games, Zach, we keep talking about mind games, and here it is, the 38 now trying to salvage what he can with the drivers around him and what else he can do, trying to think when he needs to pit and if he's going to pit around a certain time. All these things he's trying to think of going around at this 2.6 mile track.
Yeah, and if you're Plord also, you're only 32 points to the good in the cut line coming here to tonight. That's a tough break. And look at this. Oh, now look at this. Everybody coming to pit road. This is a sight you don't see a lot of times, folks. It's going to be the 1 to green here most likely when the pace car crosses the line. Everybody coming down for the top off. And that right there tells me, Carl, they all feel like they need this fuel here to make it to the end of this race.
Well, and look at that, Plord getting a lucky break. Everyone trying to come in, get that extra little drop that you may need to make it to the end. But yeah, 30 laps. A lot of these drivers apparently not feeling confident in trying to keep that car up front. But Plord is going to be taking 4 tires. So tires doesn't seem to matter much. I wonder if he might have forgotten to uncheck his tire selection.
Well, and the other thing you got to think about there too, Carl, is he's got to take fuel. So, I mean, for the amount of time he had to be there, he might as well just put the tires on. So, you know, for his case, it all went wrong with him not coming down the first time. You know, did get a laps led, so I don't know if he led laps earlier in this race. That at least will give him some bonus points. Maybe that's what he was going for there. And if it was, that's a net gain personally for him. So, we'll see if that was kind of how it played out for him. But right there, having to take tires and fuel, while the rest of the fuel just had to take a splash because they came down the time before.
And everyone trying to pack their cars full of that Sunoco race fuel that you see so often out there. And these drivers looking to gain any kind of leverage with the 38 taking those 4 tires. With the way the driving has been, using that outside line, using the inside line, could 4 tires actually maybe help him into that advantage? 30 laps to go. There's a lot of racing still left to go here at the Wicked Racing League.
You know, I like tires, especially at a track like this, even in the next-gen car where sometimes can feel a little bit unstable, especially under pushing conditions. So maybe those tires will help that grip level and maybe able to make those pushes and maybe have a little bit more confidence in those moves. And sometimes confidence is all you can need at a super speedway like this. So places, you know, like Talladega are big on that. And we'll see who has the most confidence coming down to the end. But it's going to be interesting here when they cross this line. It'll be 30 to go. And, you know, also, Carl, this is going to be a single file restart because everybody came in that last time.
And you don't see that very often. Single file restarts here in the NASCAR series. A little unorthodox racing here tonight for the Wicked Racing League, but everyone is making it work. Johnny Shade has cycled back to the front of this field, and he's going to take the green flag, followed by Alex Coffey, John Curtis, Adam Buzziel, and Blaine Wilson wrapping out the top 5. So the racing we're going to see is going to be much different than we've seen on every restart, because all the drivers need to get single file in order to get their speeds up to where they want them and need them to be.
Yeah, this is going to be wild here. Everybody building up speed as they're all separated. It's Coffee that was able to jump to the lead, get past Johnny Shade in the 24 with the help of his teammate John Curtis. But right now, everybody going down the back straight, building up the momentum. The runs from behind are going to start to come.
And here it is, Stephen Borbell in the 19 at Orange Toyota, trying to make a move with, I think, the 13 of Ryan Harrison behind him. Didn't have the momentum, couldn't make it work, so he is going to get back in line and try to get down the front straightaway. The 19 trying to make it 3 wide, and there it is, another one. Looks like the 38 of Jamie Ford trying to make his way to the front in the outside line.
Big momentum here from drivers in the back as they try to storm their way forward here. Maybe the last pit stop of the night being made. Can they make it on fuel is going to be the big question. Everybody topped off, but do you have to save some fuel here? Because if you save fuel now, this will be valuable for later in the race, because if you got to save fuel later, it's going to be not that time that you want to slow down. And when you're in the draft pack like this, you can save a lot of fuel, but from what I'm seeing, the 19 of Borbell, he's going forward. I think these guys are on full go mode.
A lot of these guys are on full goals. Looks like the 78 is going to make it 3 wide between Steve Cole and Mike Thomas. And oh, there's a little bit of a contact. 38 and the 17 diving down low on the apron and exit to turn 4, but they collect it. They keep charging forward, and these racers, knowing they need to save a little bit of fuel, and doing that is easy in the pack. You can be 3/4 throttle and still keep up with the draft, but the drivers in front don't have that luxury. They need to be full pedal, and that may affect a lot of the strategy going on through a lot of the camps and a lot of the pit stalls. But there's the 38 with the 17's help, recovering from that little incident and charging towards the front.
That outside line starting to form up a little bit more, and it's going to be the 7 getting the lead taken from him. It's going to be Dallas Bannis out front in the 45, but as we say that, Mike Thomas in the 1, he's trying to take the lead, and just like that, from 11th almost to the lead in 1 lap, Mike Thomas there. Great moves being made by him.
And that all started with a great shove from the 17. Got behind Jamie Plord after a little bit of a scuffle and was able to use those 2 cars to get out in front. And right now, Jamie Plord leading this field with Mike Thomas on the inside. Ryan Harrison in the 13 was involved in an incident, the first caution at about lap 11. He is there fighting for the top spot. So all these drivers don't seem affiliated with each other and racing really hard here in the closing laps of this race.
Yeah, it's closing down for sure here, Carl, but right now, Thomas in control of that lead. Plord dropping backwards. Thomas going to look to lead this lap and get himself a bonus point. That'd be huge for the 1 machine, but Rogers in the 17 up front. Ryan Harrison, he's came from laps down to get himself in the top 3. Great job by him, and he had a great run in Daytona.
Yeah, he did. He did really well, considering all the chaos that unfolded at Daytona, being able to finish 3rd at Daytona. So Ryan Harrison looking to maybe repeat that and help his way into the playoffs. But the 38, Jamie Plord, back and forth, up and down all day today. He's led laps and he's been at the back. He's spun out a little bit. He's done it all this evening.
It really has. I mean, a lot of guys have done a lot of different things, and it's really set up for one of those weird nights that Talladega is just a place where you just never seem like you can get away from the chaos. But right now, that front pack all single filed out, and this second group, they're double filed up, Carl. They're losing time, and some of the drivers in this group, it's 2018 racing.
And a lot of these drivers back here were involved in that later incident, had some damage, maybe had to use that fast repair, or maybe chose to save it because there are still 25 laps to go at Talladega, and anything can happen. If you might have saved that and repaired some damage manually that maybe the 18 might have done, keep that fast repair in the pocket, because you never know what chaos can unfold later on in this race.
You're exactly right, Carl. I'm in, and with it under 25 laps to go now, it's tough to be falling back this far, though, for Borbell and them. If it does come down where, stuff gets a little bit mixy here later, could that be the shot? But my question is, with them falling back this far, is this a fuel saving measure? Because also in this pack is Alex Coffey, the 7. He was out there racing for the lead at one moment along with his teammate John Curtis and Dallas Madness. So I think there's some strategy being played from this back group. This front group, I don't know if they're going to have enough fuel if they keep going like this.
You know, Zach, I'm looking at the lap times, looking at my stopper here, and they are losing about a second a lap. So this almost seems to be designed for that fuel save, because there you see a couple of the 24 and the 45 go around this pack, going around Kubinik in the 77, and they are followed closely by 2018 Racing. So maybe a little bit of fuel save, but that's such a hard game to play, especially when you're dealing with massive seconds and laps of fuel save. But now they seem to be kicking up that momentum and kicking in that speed.
Yeah, they really are, man. This is fun to see for sure. Is who is going to have those spots is going to be the big question, man. I'm very, very interested by all of this, and can they, look, it's already closing it down too. So I think the aggression level picked up from them, and they knew that they couldn't drop back too far. And because my question is, the thing about it is, you can, if you're a driver up here in this front pack, they were going at high speeds, but if you're in the middle of it, you can save a good bit of fuel. As long as the drivers around you aren't saving fuel, you kind of get bailed out by them. So, I could be looking at a few drivers up there. Maybe Gavin Rogers there in second. He's looking to possibly save, I think, the fuel here to make it to the end of this race.
And that'll be definitely interesting to see as we are on 23, coming to 22 laps to go. And right about here, Zach, you mentioned it, between 10, 15, maybe 20 laps to go, things are going to start heating up, and those two packs have kind of almost gotten together. They're certainly close enough to taste that draft of that front pack and be able to use that slipstream. And that front pack led by Mike Thomas, actually, and Gavin Rogers, Ryan Harrison doing really well. Not quite putting down the fastest times, though. It's further on back in that draft where the fastest times are coming from.
Yeah, the fastest times being farther back in this pack is they have caught their way up there to this lead group, as they're about a half a second to about a second off, is that 7th spot being led by Nigel Christensen. And one of the weird things is you never want to be the driver that is the driver out front. And I think Mike Thomas right now feels good leading laps out there, but is he the driver that's kind of being used by the rest of the field here to save fuel and just kind of lag back off of him? And personally, just from the lap times these guys are running here, the lap times are way down from what we've seen earlier in the race. I mean, we saw Mike Thomas, for example, our leader of this race right now, run a 49.96 at one point in this race. They're running 53.20s. Everybody out here running about 3/4 throttle, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, Zach, you actually took the words right out of my mouth. I was looking at the lap times, and you hit it right on the head. Earlier along in the first and second stages, they could easily run 50-30s, 50-20s. They're running full 2 seconds slower, even in this draft, than they would if they were racing in the middle of the stage. So already, max fuel save, trying to get that magic number, hit that magic lap, and yeah, it looks like that one car, Mike Thomas, may be being used at the moment as a windbreak, but that's backpack already getting a little bit of separation again. And there is the 20 Nigel Christensen, Alex Coffey, and here we go again. A little bit more separation. That just makes it a little harder for the leader of that second pack anyway to save that fuel.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking too, Carl. Nigel Christensen, that leader of that second pack, he's saying, no, guys, don't go pull away like that. I don't want to press the gas to speed up to catch him to get more draft, because he's trying to save as much fuel as possible. And so it is such a yo-yo effect, I feel like, going on right now, that everybody trying to save fuel, make the best fuel economy. It's going to be very interesting when we come down to all of this, but just here, 20 laps to go, man.
20 laps to go, and this is where things are going to start ramping up. You can see the drivers starting to stick their nose out. Don't think it's overheating. They're not pushing it that hard, but they are definitely trying to get an eye on the competition in front of them. They're wanting to make a move, waiting to make a move, and you see that starting to slowly creep their way up the track. And I think, Zach, we're in for quite a wild ride as these drivers start to get closer to that number, little more cushion in that fuel window.
There they are, Carl. They're trying to pad the fuel window. I tell you what, folks, since we're just under 20 to go here, we're going to hit our final commercial break of the night here at Freaky Fast Broadcast, and they're all single file. They're all getting their strategy all figured out, as it is all about who is going to make it to the end of this race, who can get themselves to that checker flag first. The fuel is being saved, and they're trying to stay in position. Right now, Mike Thomas out front. You're not going to miss a thing, though, as we head side by side here, as these drivers out here look to make as much fuel as possible. We go to commercial break. So thank you all for tuning in here. It's the Wicked Racing League. We're here at Talladega, and we'll be right back here at Freaky Fast Broadcast.
No rear grip whatsoever. I'm sideways. Sideways everywhere. Come on, man. Do what you can. The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
And welcome back, race fans. You haven't missed a thing. All max save, max fuel save. In fact, they backed it off even more. An extra second, running a 54 flat around this 2.66 mile super speedway. And all the drivers trying to save that amount of fuel. And Mike Thomas, he is saving as well, but he's still gaining a gap because Gavin Rogers is saving that much more, Zach. And that's just really intensifying as we go tick away 11 to go here.
Yeah, this is a tough thing for Mike Thomas because out front he's probably saying, somebody give me a push, maybe here. But I think he's got to think here in his mind that hey, this is kind of suspect from these drivers behind and everybody trying to play the fuel game here and save enough. And my question is, Carl, when does someone get the green light to go? Because if you can get the green light to go earlier than someone, we could see someone pull away because, again, the lap times are about 3 to 4 seconds off of what we've seen tonight. If you can get the green light to go, as I would say, you could pull away from this field here and look to be getting it done as they're going to be coming here now, 10 laps to go just in this race.
Definitely. They were qualifying. Let's see. The pole was Mike Thomas. He qualified with a 53.6. So right now, running with the pack, he's running slower than his qualifying time. And so Mike Thomas is trying anything to save that field, to preserve that field. But right there, that was a 56.3. So with that lap, he matched that qualifying time. But with those cars behind him, it's hard to say how much more he has in that fuel tank.
It is really questionable to see who will get all the mileage done. So, Mike Thomas leading all these laps, it may become back to bite him. So we'll see how it works out for him. But right now, I think he likes just being out front at the moment. And, maybe at some point he'll drop back and try to save some fuel. So we'll see what he elects to do. But right now, Gavin Rogers, that first car, second in line, he's looking to get another victory. And, that'd be a great bounce back for him, Carl, after last week at Chicagoland, having the disconnect there for himself, didn't get to finish out that race like he wanted to, and couldn't go for a fourth victory. Here tonight, he might have a shot for 4 victories here, and that would be a great chance for him to continue to open up that gap because, again, it was about 31 points cut out of his points lead just in 1 week there at Chicagoland.
He has that opportunity, but so does everyone behind him as they are getting a little more squirrely, a little more unstable as we see the 38 have to dart and gather up his car rather on that back straightaway. And there is some lap traffic ahead of the 56. Nigel Christensen has been back here with the 7 of Alex Coffey nearly this entire run. And Zach, it's almost been night and day between the first 2 stages and this final run of this last stage. Everyone in max fuel save mode during the last stage, when we had this many laps to go, they were gunning for it. Everyone was trying to fight for those last few positions. So the strategy really playing a factor in how this race is played out and ending. But I have a feeling things are going to pick up here in the next couple of laps.
It's going to pick up for sure, Carl. 8 to go, coming to 7 to go next time by. And the more and more they keep going here, I'm starting to see a little bit more of that lap time start to drop away. We're down to the 53.5 instead of 54. But that just tells me these guys were well off their mark of making it because we've been this slow for pretty much the whole entire run, Carl. I'm interested to see those guys that drop back first that were really doing the hardcore saving at the beginning instead of that hard racing at the beginning. Like I said, I think they might get that green light to go a little bit earlier, and you might see a pack of them charge out to that outside line, and it's going to be very noticeable. I think everybody here we're watching right now, they're all, of course, single file. But when that first car decides to go, you're going to notice it. And I don't know if that is it. I think Coffey not fully pushed in there, but he might have it as he looks like his teammates all jumping up to the top line, coming to 7 to go here next time, 6 to go. This could be their shot, and you can see it, the momentum already going to the top side.
And here we go, Zach. It's almost like they were listening to you. Alex Coffey with 2 other teammates behind him in tow, going to the outside line, and here we go. roll the dice here, make a move, and let's see what we can end up here at Talladega. Outside line trying to form up as that inside line is breaking up just a little bit. And Zach, with those cars that ended up saving more, yeah, you can push it a little earlier, but you have to use that outside line. You have to wait a little bit later as everyone goes up to that outside line to try and make a run. And there it is, Alex Coffey leading that lap, taking the lead away from Mike Thomas, and Mike Thomas sitting there, the third car in that outside line. Maybe a sigh of relief, getting a little bit of draft for once.
And just like that, they dropped 2 seconds in their lap time, and the pace begins to pick up. Everybody says it's business time. They might have enough fuel, they might not, but they're going to try to make it stretch here as they come out of 4. Coffee there in the best position at the moment. He's got his teammate John Curtis directly behind, but John Curtis yet to get a win this season other than that LA Coliseum exhibition race. He's going to be looking to go for this victory here, Carl, I believe.
Well, there's that inside line as well, the 38, Jamie Plord. We mentioned his roller coaster of an evening. He's been up front, he's been in the back. Right now, he's kind of in the middle of the scuffle. But as we talk, it looks like Mike Thomas is going to lead that inside line, interestingly enough. So Mike Thomas doesn't seem to be worried about fuel at the moment as he tries to lead that inside line. And a lot of drivers looking for maybe to go 3 wide. And there it is. There's some contact on the back straightaway. That's a 21. Adam Buzzio going into the outside wall. And no caution. And there it is. Caution for wreck on the back straightaway. 5 to go, Zach. This just kicked the intensity to about an 11. Because if my math is correct, we will go, and this may be a green-white checkered.
Ooh, this could get very, very close for people on fuel. And man, oh man, does this change the whole aspect of everything here. Now going to have a restart, but back to the freaky fast replay. We look up here. Unfortunately, I think Adam Buzzio is going to be the one that's really collected in this. And it's a stack up on that inside line and the contact to the 21 machine there. It's going to send him down the racetrack. From there, he's going to lock it up. And you see Ryan Harrison in the 13. He's trying to hold on to his machine. But the 21, Buzzio trying to lock it up, stay out of that wall. And I think he does really the best job he possibly could here to completely not get too much damage as he slides to a stop here on this Alabama Super Speedway back straightaway.
And there it is, just a slight tap to that outside wall. Good on Adam Buzzio for able to kind of keep that collected and under him, not take too much damage. May have a couple of scuffed body panels, but that otherwise that car looks good and straight to go the remainder of this race. And right now we're going to see who takes the dive onto pit road and who does not see where the fuel stands. But right now, at this point, you've almost gone this far, and there we are. There's the takers. Adam Buzzio, our leader, coming down for probably a splash and go.
Yeah, Alex Coffey going to lead us down here in this 7 machine. And I think, like you said, Carl, I think everybody here, they know I just need a little bit of fuel in this race car just to make me feel confident about making the end of this race. You never know how the scenarios could play out, but Coffey did make a simple mistake there. He came to his box, slid through, gives up the lead. It's going to be last week's winner, the 20 machine of Nigel Christensen, out front, beating John Curtis off the pit road.
And there's those mistakes we mentioned earlier, Zach. Alex Coffey, really, hate to curse him, but he slid through there, cost him an extra second or two on pit road. Went from first to third, those 2 spots. He will be behind the car on the inside line on this restart. But now all of these drivers have the fuel. They don't need tires. We are going to have a green light checker to the finish, Zach. Things are about to get spicy.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it, Cole. It's definitely going to get a little bit spicy here. I think everybody's going to be going for it here. Christensen's got to win. He won last week at Chicagoland. Doesn't mean he doesn't want any more chance to win this race. It's going to be a little bit different for him because he's going to have Borbell, his teammate, a few cars behind, and then Blaine Wilton and Buzzio. They're going to be a much more mire back in the pack. But right here, the one thing I really look at is that 00 and that 7 machine. They've always been such good teammates to each other. Alex Coffey, John Curtis there at CNC Esports. This could be their chance, Carl, here to make something happen. And you know, the thing is, I think Coffee, yeah, he wants to go for that third victory and gain, ground on Gavin Rogers, that point leader. But at the same time, does he help his teammate, John Curtis, get that first victory of the season here at Talladega? There's a lot of questions still to be answered, but man, this is going to be a fun one, and this is set up to, we saw those 3 wide moments. I think we might see a few of those, and that tandem draft also might be a huge factor also.
Tandem draft with the drivers you trust, especially teammates. The 20 is all alone up there in the lead. His nearest teammate is the 19, Stephen Borbell, sitting there in 6th position. So not a lot of help for Christensen up there at the front, despite CNC Esports being up there. Ooh, Nigel Christensen making his way to pit road here, possibly to top off. Maybe, I don't know if he was there on the first run down pit road, but he's going to take the second opportunity. Cycled to the back of the pack, but he will be able to finish on field. But here it is. Teammates are going to start filling out this front row.
Yeah, that right there, yeah, I don't know. Maybe did not put enough fuel in it, because when I went back and looked at it, he was in his box for probably the least amount of time of anybody around him. But still, I'm surprised by that. So very surprised that Christian comes back down, and gonna have to start way back there. We'll have some of his teammates to try to get themselves up there, but now this field going to be in control of the 2 teammates out front there at CNC Esports, John Curtis, Alex Coffey. Then you're going to have Mason Hossman there, that winner from Watkins Glen. He's going to try to get himself there. Johnny Shaden, the 24, came in here tonight on the cut line. Carl there, 12th in points. He needs a big night like this. This could be his shot to get a victory and make all those worries about making the playoffs go away.
Johnny Shade has done everything right tonight. He's led laps. He's been able to push, be pushed. Right now would be a great time to punch his ticket into the playoffs. But Zach, we have 3 laps to go. Our first green-white checkered overtime. We will see if we finish with here. The rules of the overtime, we have 3 laps. We'll take the green flag. If there's a caution before the white flag comes out, the caution will come out, and we'll have another chance to go again. If the white flag comes out before the caution will end the race effectively, and that will be how we determine the winner. But we have 3 attempts at these, and a whole lot of racing, despite only having 3 laps to go, a whole lot of racing to still determine the winner of this race.
Yeah, man, the Fish Hunter Charters 250 here at Talladega. Gonna have some overtime action here. 3 possible attempts, like he explained to the folks, and this will be the first one. Curtis, he'll have control. My question is, what does the game plan go from there? Does the teamwork aspect go into it, or do they throw teamwork out of it, and does Coffee and Curtis go at it for each other? We'll have to see here, Carl. Pace car's gonna pull off, and we'll get all of our answers here possibly on this first attempt.
And this is going to get very interesting. Johnny Shade and Alex Coffey have made a great tandem team all night long. They've been kind of hovering around each other, in fact, pushing and shoving each other. But right now they are nose to tail on that outside lane. The first 2 cars up there, and there it is. The green flag is waving. We are racing here, racing to the end, and there John Curtis will take the outside lane to help his teammate Alex Coffey and get that draft, while the inside lane will fall back. And so right now that everyone trying to transition to that outside lane.
Outside lane winning so far as it's going to be Coffee. Curtis up front as Curtis jumped to the top side with his teammate Johnny Shade, though, in that 24. He's going to have the help of the 78 of Hossman as they come down the back, the 38 of Plord, as Hossman drops back on that inside line. But the first driver to jump out is the 45 of Dallas Manis.
Ellis Manis trying to get that inside line, going to get cut off. The leaders taking that inside line. Johnny Shade, Jamie Plord, all they can do is follow in the tire tracks of the 2 cars in front of them. They are nose to tail. Alex Coffey giving a great push to the 00 through the corner into the tri-oval, and the white flag is out. And there's a caution. There's a caution before the cars took the white flag. And ladies and gentlemen, we will get to see that all again, as we will rack them up and go for our second attempt at overtime.
Oh man, Dallas Manis, he is pretty much on his side, and he has went almost the full distance of this front straightaway on the side of his wheels. One of the more odd scenes I've seen here, and he'll take a tow, but we'll get to see here what exactly happened on this replay. This is a little bit of the aftermath here as he rolls away. That's an interesting move Dallas pulled off there.
I don't think 2 tires have as much grip as 4, so we'll definitely have to take a look at that and see how that's gonna help him throughout the race. But gonna take that toe. I don't think he's had to use that faster pair, so after the toe, he should be able to get back into the action. But right now the field is coming through turn 3, out of turn 4, and it takes a couple minutes for these cars to get towed at this track. So the 45 may be a lap down when it gets back on the track, if he gets back on the track.
I mean, not only was he going backwards, but he's on his side. So, oh, that's a doozy right there, and that just shows you Talladega for you folks. And it's just a track that anything can really happen at. So, with that incident, I believe it was Adam Buzzio who actually, I think he made contact with, I believe maybe even his teammate of Blaine Wilson in the 18, and from there got into Dallas, and Dallas went for that ride. And yeah, that was really the first time I've seen a car ride like that on its side.
And just like that, we are going to go green and have a lot of side-by-side action. Again, that was great, excellent teamwork. The 7 of Alex Coffey kind of woed up that second lane, allowing for the 00 to take the front, and they were able to maintain that lead. But will it work 2 times in a row, Zach? They know how they're going to probably try and utilize that lead and that teamwork. Is there a possibility to get up there, maybe anticipate the start and interrupt that whole procedure?
That's what they're going to try to do. The start is important. It's super important at a super speedway, but sometimes not getting the best start can be your actual help. And what I mean by that is kind of, if you know that these 2 out front, they're going to kind of jump out and do their own little restart. If everybody kind of lets them go, they get a little jump out there, you'll get a big run on them coming to really that white flag. And that's where you got to really set things up. If you go out there, try to make that move in the 1, and you think on this restart, that move is the one that's going to win you the race, I'm sorry to tell you, it's probably most likely going to come back around on that white flag where someone else makes a move on you. So, you got to be, like we were talking about earlier in this race, reactionary and not have to want to be in that defensive position. So for these drivers in the reactionary positions, they got to make these guys up front make the mistakes that open up the door for them to get the run. So very exciting times, but we'll see how the teammates can play it out, as they got plenty of hungry drivers behind them looking for a victory.
Overtime, always exciting as we get ready to get lined up for our second overtime. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere after the race. We will be here with our post-race interviews with our top 3 finishers. And right now, with another 3 laps to go here at Talladega, that could be anyone and everyone trying to vie for those top 3 positions. We may possibly also see another caution, so don't you go anywhere. We still have a lot of action and a lot of discussion left in this race. But with this, we should be getting the 1-2 go signal. We should be seeing the lights on the pace car go out when it crosses the start-finish line. So Zach, you saw how all that went, that whole restart. We almost made it a whole full lap. How do you reset as a driver? How do you get ready to attack this track once again?
Well, you saw how it played out there before. The opportunities you had. Here, you gotta try to be in the right lane, pick the right opportunity, and go for it here, man. So we'll see as drivers, they reset themselves, get their mental situation all figured out. It'll be fun to see as we take the lights off of the pace car. But I'd say with all these folks out here, if you haven't checked out yet, out there in our description, we got the link to our merch. And man, we got some great merch out there. And if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you head on over to storefrontier.com, and it's at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. I'll put the link out there in chat for you all, and you can go check it out. We got hoodies, shirts, and many other different designs there that look very, very cool, man. They look so nice and clean. And if you haven't checked them out, make sure you go check out our merch here tonight, as it's always a pleasure to do work here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And man, I can't wait to get myself some more of that merch there too, Carl. So it's going to be fun. We got ourselves more overtime action, but Talladega right here has not upset us so far.
Well, they hasn't upset us. I've been thoroughly entertained. I can guarantee there are some upset drivers, though. Some still on pit road, just waiting to see the end of this race. Adam Buzzio had to go to pit lane, get some damage repaired, but he is back out on the track on the lead lap, but kind of towards the tail end of the field. So again, CNC Esports taking the top 2 positions. Johnny Shade in 3rd, Jamie Plurt in 4th, Gavin Rogers rounding out the top 5. Stephen Borbell in 6th, Chad Bean in 7th, Mason Houseman in 8th, 9th is Blaine Wilson, 10th position goes to Nigel Christensen. We have 12 cars on the lead lap, ladies and gentlemen, and we are about to go green here at Talladega, Alabama.
That we are, Carl, and what a time here to see who can win it all here, who can try to lock themselves into the playoffs. John Curtis has had such a good season so far. Won at the LA Coliseum, the shortest track on the NASCAR schedule. Now can he go to one of the biggest ovals on the NASCAR schedule and get himself another victory? Let's see if he can do it here, Carl.
And they are side by side, hands, the field in the hands of John Curtis. Johnny Shade is right on his bumper, though, not wanting to let the teammates link up again and run away with this race. And there it is. The green flag is out and waving again. Our second overtime of this race. And once again, without a hitch, John Curtis is going to take up that top line, take in his teammate in tow, and he's going to work his way. Oh, we have the contact. Alex Coffey in the front and to the outside wall, tried to block off Johnny Shade. Looks like that caused an issue and couldn't quite hold it, and that's going to bring out another caution tonight at Talladega. So these restarts later on in the race, there is no give. It is all take right now, and that is going to cost the 7 some more positions.
Man, this race just gets extended more and more. And did you put enough fuel in is going to be a question a few drivers might be asking themselves for these overtime attempts. But Alex Coffey, just like that, in a blink of an eye, out of this race, and going to have to most likely take a fast repair that he hasn't used yet, hopefully. But the toughest thing for him is getting back to pit road. Is that right front destroyed with that hit on the outside wall, and tried to make the move to get down to the bottom. I think Johnny Shea in the 24 did not lift and not, it was such a close ordeal, but I think the 24 into the back bumper, and really there the 7 goes for a ride. And from there, man, it brings out another caution and get another green-white checkered attempt.
Yeah, the 7 was definitely trying to keep in tow with his teammate. The 00 went down low, and there just wasn't enough space between the 7 and the 24 to make that move work. But with this caution, this will be the final green-white checkered, our final restart of the race. So whatever happens after this will definitely be the end of the race. And right now, the 7, Alex Coffey, stuck on the infield of turn 4. He actually may need to take a tow with that severe damage, and there it goes. Alex Coffey going to take a tow, may not actually be able to finish this race.
And that is that new damage, update that they brought with the fatigue of damage. Now his suspension parts broke with that hit to the wall, and the right front didn't allow him to get that car through there, and it just dug into the grass and pretty much was stuck from there, just spinning in a circle. So unfortunate for Alex Coffey, who's had such a good run here tonight, won that second stage, and just couldn't get it done here when it comes to it overall. But I think he'll be now looking to his teammate John Curtis to look to pull this off. But Johnny Shea there, Jamie Plord, both drivers that need a victory here. That would be so crucial. Shea came in literally dead even on the cut line, and Jamie Plord came about 30 points to the good. So it was so close for them. They're now going to be second and third here. Carl, this is shaping up to be a wild finish.
It already has been a wild finish. 3 overtime sessions. We're going to be able to max it out here. A lot of cars. Really, to this point, there was at least 15 cars on the lead lap up until this final stage, and battle of attrition here in the final 10 laps of the Wicked Racing League here at Talladega. Just being able to try and make those moves and make them confidently, and we just saw an incident where it just didn't work out, and that is where that communication is so key. You got to have that trust in your spotter, be able to know maybe the guy behind you is going to live, but Johnny Shea did not not lift at all. He wanted that spot. He didn't want those teammates to get bumper to bumper. And that overall, Johnny won that battle and kept the position.
That he did, man. Kept the position right now in second. Gonna be looking to go for a victory, but third attempt here at a green-white checker, gonna be the last one of the night, and this is a perfect time to give a shout out to one of our other sponsors here tonight, and that is the Admin Box, folks. One of the best button boxes out there. I mean, basically, you can have anything from driver functionality all the way to race control for this button box. It can help you clear black flags, add laps, take laps away from the yellows. It's got many different functions, not only, but also has the driver functions for drivers that need to get down the pit road, take a certain amount of tires, and it's all pre-programmed with no key bindings necessary. Just plug and play USB, and you can get your admin box there at adminbox.com, and that's admin box with 2 X's there, and use that discount code you see there on our screen, FFB/BOXX, to get a discount at purchase. And you can get race control at your fingertips, folks. But here we go, Carl. It's looking like we should get the 1 to green here. Final attempt at a green-white checkered. We got 3 drivers here in our top 3 that have not won this season. Chad Bean back there in 6th, yet to win also. Blaine Wilson in 8th, Ryan Harrison in 9th, and Adam Buzzio in 10th. So got a great group of drivers that still have yet to win. I think we got a good shot to talk to a first-time winner this season.
An excellent shot, and that's just what the magic of Talladega can bring you. But they got to finish first. In order to finish, you got to be able to keep your car clean, not put it into any compromising positions. But Zach, when you're racing for the lead, where does that line move? Especially this late in the race, you're going for the win. Where does that line stand at this point?
It's tough. It is a tough ordeal, and I think picking which way to go is always the one that wins you it. And at Talladega, the other tracks you can give a set, this is what I need to do. But Talladega is a track where, you can have stuff planned like I talked about earlier in the race. But when it comes down to the end and when it actually gets to that, real crucial moment, if you go with your plan and it doesn't, seem to be the best option, you got to kind of call that audible and make that change there to go and make a different move. We'll see which driver is the most flexible with their movements out there, because I'll tell you what, you don't want to be stuck in your lane, because if you're in the wrong one, you're going to be going backwards. If you're in the right one, you'll have a shot to win this. But with only one more attempt at this, Carl, this is for all the marbles. This is it. And we're about to see who can get the win here at Talladega.
We will see indeed. 3 laps to go at the green flag, and the pace car has them under his wing, but not for much longer. As we go into turn 3 through turn 4, he's going to make that hard left turn onto pit road, and the field is once again going to be in control of the 00 John Curtis. Different sight though to his outside. That's a 24 Johnny Shade. We've said his name a lot tonight, and as you said, Zach, he definitely needs the win to help his playoff chances. He's on that cut line, tied for those spots, and this is a time for him to make a splash and make his name known going into the playoffs. But he's got to finish here first. There's still 3 laps to go. Everyone tensed up, ready for that green flag to drop. And here we go through the tri-ovals. 00 in the lead. There's the green flag. Green again, once again at Talladega. This is for all the marbles. Zach, you said it, and they are going to go for it all. No more cautions. The next flag will finish the race. Here we go, going into turn 1.
John Curtis there in the 00 on the bottom lane, going to lead the way. It's going to be Plord behind him, but here comes Borbell with the push in the 19, but Shade up top all alone. He's looking for some help, but nobody there. Can Curtis hold off the 38, who's looking kind of to the inside, but now Curtis going to hold that bottom lane. Look at the 38 here as they head to 3 and 4 for the final time. The help is coming from the outside.
Huge checkup on the inside lane. Everyone had to fan out. 3-4 wide going into turn 3. We see them side by side for the lead. The 24, the 00, both looking for the first wins of this season. Coming out of turn 4, going through the first dogleg and the tri-oval. They're going to come to the freaky fast white flag. 1 lap to go here for the Wicked Racing League at Talladega Superspeedway. Alex Coffey there in the mix, but he's a lapped car, so he's trying to make it 3 wide and help one of his teammates. Johnny Shade alone in front, leading this pack 3 wide. There's pinching and banging doors left and right. Here we go, coming out of turn 2.
No matter what happens, we race to the line. Curtis now with the position, but it's going to be Plord jumping wide. 4 wide for the lead. It's going to be Shade with that position, but down the back straightaway, Shade holds on to it. Now Wilson down, going to drop to the inside second. They're wrecking back there farther, but up front, Johnny Shade holding on to the group as they come out of 4. Who's going to win this race?
Johnny Shade fighting with Blake Wilson, wrecking through turn 4, the 7, and the 19, and more cars wrecking here as they go through the trial of the 24 in the lead. The last 100 yards to make a move for the 18. He doesn't have the momentum. Johnny Shade in the 24 will win at Talladega Super Speedway. Blaine Wilson taking the 3rd spot, and Jamie Plord needed a great finish, and he got it here with a 3rd place position finish.
What a finish there, folks. Johnny Shade out front holding on when it went 4 wide and all went sideways. He was the one that made it through all of the calamity and was able to get the victory here tonight. The 24, Johnny Shade's going to be so excited, man. He came in here on the cut line, Carl. On the cut line. That is going to be a huge moment for this driver, and it's going to be a big, big victory for him heading into the playoffs. So Johnny Shade can breathe a big sigh of relief.
Big sigh indeed. You mentioned it, only a couple more races until the playoffs, and he has punched his ticket to race for the first ever championship for the Wicked Racing League. And he comes to the trial, but he's definitely really excited. He's looking to burn it down and use that rubber, use whatever fuel he has left to just celebrate. There it is, going into the wall, but he doesn't matter. Arrow does not matter, and there it is, the donuts of victory on the start finish line here at Talladega. Just a great sight to see. Won another first-time winner here for the Wicked Racing League. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you saw it here, but don't you go anywhere. As promised, when we come back, we are going to talk to our top 3 finishers, including our first-time winner of the 24, Johnny Shade. So I'm going to go catch my breath. You guys go get a bottle of water. We will be right back. And welcome back, race fans. We saw a very eventful Talladega, 100 and plus laps, 3 overtimes. But as promised, the top 3 finishes of tonight are here with us. And first, we're going to pull in the 38 of Jamie Plord. Jamie, congratulations on that 3rd place finish. This is Carl and Zach up in the booth. You needed a great run tonight to keep yourself in the running for the playoff picture. How did tonight go for you?
Oh man, first of all, I just want to say thank you to you guys, and you guys do a great job up in the booth. But really, I just wanted to keep it straight, keep it forward, and not wreck anybody. But it's hard to do here.
That it really is, Jamie, man. Congrats on that 3rd place finish here tonight, man. It was a hard fought one indeed. And saw you up front here multiple times tonight. And that whole last half of that race definitely had to be interesting. Everybody trying to save fuel. And then now, then having those late dashes there at the end with the green white checkers. How hard was it to switch on and switch off from the fuel saving mode to going full bore?
I'll tell you, Zach, it's a tough thing when you have to mentally reset every time. You get all revved up, and then the caution comes out, and you gotta cool yourself back down. Tell yourself you got one more. But it was a lot of fun. I love racing with these guys, and this league is really something special, I gotta say. So just hats off to Johnny and to Blaine for us being the top 3 there, and everybody ran a clean race. I also want to give a thanks to Richard Wolfsire because he was working with me most of this race in the beginning, and then he was spotting me as he was driving in the back, trying to give me a little heads up. So I just want to give a shout out to him. That really helped.
Well, that's definitely interesting to hear how that teammate dynamic worked. But next week, we have Sonoma. We have right turns as well. We can expect to maybe talk to you next week?
I'm feeling pretty confident about my road course game. But like I said, it's a really competitive league, and everyone in here is just so focused, and you really have to be on your P's and Q's to run good with these guys. But hopefully next week I come back out and hopefully be talking to you fellas again.
Fantastic. Well, we hope to be talking to you. Before we let you go, though, any more names you want, any fans you want to shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my parents, my mom and my dad, for always supporting. Also, my fiance Olivia, and like I said, Richard Wolfsire really helped me out tonight. He was a great teammate. So I just want to say thank you guys up in the booth. You guys do a great job, and I can't wait to watch this replay.
Well, congratulations. You did a great job willing that machine to the 3rd position. Good luck next week.
Thanks, guys.
And with that, Jamie Plort with a great finish. Looking forward to Sonoma next week. But right now, we have Blaine Wilson, our 2nd place finisher. Blaine, it's Carl and Zach up in the booth. You guys with 2018 had kind of a rivalry going with CNC Esports until it got broken up. How vital was the teamwork tonight to make the track work to get you up in that track position?
It really played a big role. I mean, the only reason I finished in 2nd was I got a huge punch from Mr. Steven Borbell on the backstretch there on that last lap. Helped me clear both lanes and set me free with Johnny Shade. I just couldn't get a run on him since they wrecked behind us. All the momentum was gone, and it all happened so fast I didn't even think to try to pull back a little bit and get a run off the corner, but it is what it is. Glad to be 2nd. Get a lot of points this race, too.
Yeah, definitely a big points gained for you there, Blaine. And man, I tell you, another 2nd place finisher, 2 in a row now after coming off of Chicago land last week, man. And you had a top 5 finish earlier this year at Watkins Glen. We go to Sonoma next week. How you feel about heading into the road course?
I've been practicing Sonoma quite a bit, and I've actually been doing a ton of road races, just trying to learn it a little better. I don't have much confidence. I just hope to finish that race, which from the practice is extremely hard to do. So we'll get it down. It'll be fun.
Well, I have faith you'll survive that race just like you survived this race, wheeling and dealing that car, that 18 machine, left and right. But before we go, before next week happens, any fans you want to shout out to tonight?
Yeah, all my teammates. I know Adam Buzzio had a special guest on his car this evening that he wanted to shout out. So shout out to Adam and his paint scheme, which looks wonderful, and his friend for sponsoring our race here. And that's pretty much it.
Well, fantastic. Great racing tonight, Blaine. We look forward and hopefully be able to talk to you next week.
I'll see you then.
And there it is. Teammates are so critical, can help you in so many ways here at Talladega. But the one lonely kind of outrider who didn't have a teammate at the end, there's Johnny Shade, our winner. Johnny, it is Carl and Zach up in the booth. Man, we talked about you all night long, and I know you were trying to get that camera set up. I know this is your first setup, so congratulations on that. But take us through winning that race.
Yeah, I mean, as it is in every play track, you got have a lot of patience and a lot of luck, and I think I had a good amount of both tonight that really played into my favor. At one point it was looking pretty bad, trying to save a fast repair in case something happened at the end, and almost went and let down doing it. But fortunately, that wasn't the case, so we were able to get back up front at the end of the stage. I think it was stage 2, and yeah, we had a good team.
Man, I tell you what, Johnny, congrats on the win here tonight. First off, man, that was a great run there coming down to the end, 4 wide behind you, holding off that group. But big moment for you too, man. Came in here on the cut line, 12th in points. Get this victory. This has got to be a big sigh of relief heading into those final 2 regular season races there, especially with Sonoma coming next.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always thought I've been a pretty decent plate track, so obviously it's a wild card race, but I always feel like I'm a little bit more confident going into those races than other tracks. Um, like you mentioned, 4 or 3 wide behind me. I remember thinking distinctly in that moment that that's not where I want to be, is in front of all these dudes, because I'm just a sitting duck. But had some chaos happen. But yeah, I'm happy to be in the playoffs, and I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it already.
Looking forward to it. We are definitely looking forward to watching you take on Sonoma next week. But before we let you go, sir, any fans you want to shout out to tonight?
I just want to thank all the people who are tuning in every week. I know we've had a great viewership thus far, and it really inspires us drivers. So I want to say thank you to all the viewers, nobody in particular, but we'll see everybody next week.
Well, yes, sir. Congratulations. Go ahead and celebrate that win.
Thanks, guys.
And there you have it from the winner himself. You need a decent amount of luck, a decent amount of patience, and if you can even those 2 virtues out, you can win it big here at Talladega. Zach, we saw a lot tonight, and just kind of going over what kind of crazy things, fuel strategy, 3 overtimes. I mean, tonight had it all.
It really did, Carl. It was all over the place, and I think when we see the results there, they're going to be kind of interested to see how it all shook out, especially with those wrecks right at the end.
And, sorting out those wrecks, of course, Johnny Shade, Blaine Wilson, Jamie Plord in front of it all taking the top podium positions. Nigel Christensen scavenged the 4th position. Chad Bean started 5th and ended 5th. Congratulations to him with another great run. Adam Buzzio, we saw him leading 2018, occasionally sitting there in 6th place. John Curtis leading there at the final restart, 7th. Ryan Harrison in 8th. Gavin Rogers with another outside top 5 finish, sitting there at 9th. And Stephen Borbell rounding out the top 10. Alex Coffey crashing out there towards the end. That's going to cause a little bit of a ding in his points. But a lot of these other drivers looking to hopefully make their way to the playoffs may have had a little bit of trouble. Mason Hausman there in 14th struggled a little bit, but he's already in with the win at the Glen. So, Zach, Sonoma next week, another road course. It's going to be interesting. We will see another first-time winner.
And we possibly could. I mean, you look back to Watkins Glen, really, and you had Hausman up front. He led 33 laps. You had Rogers lead 32. So those two kind of had the dominant performances, but Coffey also led 10. So, they were very good. But I think one other driver that we kind of didn't, speak about too much even during that race was, Buzzio and Curtis. They both look good. So those two could look to break into victory lane there also. So Sonoma, a little different than Watkins Glen also. So I think it takes a little bit of a different skill. So can't wait to see that one. Man, one of my favorite road courses out there. It's really a technical one and a challenge that most drivers don't like to take, but the ones who do take up that challenge are the ones that seem to come out on top. So it's going to be a blast to see, and I can't wait to see how they all shake it out when it comes to wine country.
Definitely fun to watch Sonoma. Not only do you have to deal with left turns, right turns, but the elevation changes are so challenging as well. But ladies and gentlemen, you won't miss a thing if you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. You can find us just about everywhere on social medias, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok now, you name it, we're on it. You find it, you hit that button, you won't miss a bit of the action. Monday nights are the ISRC Trucks Full Send on Tuesdays. Thursdays, tomorrow nights is Stars and Stripes. Saturday, WSSR racing. So don't miss a thing. We have so many things going on, and you won't miss a thing if you hit those buttons in the really the notifications. Before we sign off, though, I do want to wish the best of luck to all those caught in the path of Hurricane Ian down in Florida and parts beyond. Make sure you guys take cover and stay safe. But again, be smart about it. But until next time, keep it freaky fast.